Book 3, The Quantum Sea. Prologue, the first translation. The first door humanity opened after the prison did not lead to the stars. It led sideways, not upward into orbit, not outward past the moon, not into the familiar darkness where old telescopes had spent centuries searching for neighbors. Sideways, into the hidden layer beside the world, into the place that had always been there. The place that had watched humanity build fires, carve symbols into stone, name mountains, fear forests, worship stars, and mistake every unexplained footprint for myth. The first translation began beneath the Himalayas. At 3:33 a.m., of course it did. By then the number had become less a time than a threshold, a reminder. A joke, Daniel Mercer had once said. If the universe had learned to tell jokes, Aaron Vale had not laughed when he said it. The witness had. That had unsettled everyone. The Himalayan facility had no official name. The governments funding it called it a transnational research installation. The restored bridge called it a resonance access point. The former Grey administrators called it a phase interference anomaly. The old warden Kareth called it a bad idea. The local guides called it what their grandparents had called it, the White Door. It rested inside a glacier valley too remote for roads and too unstable for permanent settlements. Wind moved across the ice like a living thing, carrying powdered snow through the darkness in silver ribbons. Above the valley, mountains rose black and immense beneath the stars, their peaks cutting into the sky like the teeth of ancient giants. The moon hung low over the ridgeline. Silent. Only a moon now. No relay pulse, no harvest pressure, no invisible architecture pulling at the dead, and still Aaron caught himself watching it. Old habits survived freedom. So did old wounds. He stood on the exterior observation platform in a thermal suit lined with resonance sensors, staring at the pale disk as technicians moved behind him. Their voices carried through the cold in fragments. Phase anchors stable. Beacon array at 72%. Interference pattern holding. Dreamer synchronization has begun. Aaron closed his eyes. Beneath the wind, beneath the hum of generators, beneath the distant creaking of ice, he could feel the valley singing. Not sound. Resonance. The world had a phase signature here. Everything did. Stone, snow, skin, breath, memory. The interphase medium was not an idea anymore. It was not a theory trapped in builder archives or a luminous map turning slowly inside the silent archive. It was here, pressing against reality like water against glass. A door made of frequency, a doorway that had existed before humanity had words for doors. Behind Aaron, boots crunched across the frost. "You're doing it again," Lily Mercer said. Aaron opened his eyes, staring at the moon. No. She stepped beside him, her dark hair tucked beneath the hood of her field suit, her sketchbook sealed in a weatherproof case against her chest. "Looking like you're about to apologize to the universe." Aaron almost smiled. That obvious. Painfully, I was thinking, that's what worries me. This time he did smile. The warmth of it surprised him, as it often did now. A year ago, smiles had felt like artifacts from another life. Now they arrived unexpectedly, like sunlight through old ruins. Lily looked toward the valley. Far below, the research compound glowed beneath domes of protective light. Human engineers moved alongside former Grey technicians. Reptilian reformists carried resonance coils twice the size of their bodies. Dreamers sat in quiet circles around the perimeter, eyes closed, hands resting over small spiral markers painted onto the snow. No one had ordered the dreamers to come. They had arrived because they had dreamed the valley before the coordinates were released. Thousands of them. Children in Taiwan. Artists in Argentina, retired soldiers in Kenya, engineers in Ohio, monks in Bhutan, farmers in Peru, all describing the same place. A frozen valley, a white corridor under the mountains, a doorway guarded by something enormous and gentle. Lily had drawn it first. That still bothered her. Aaron could tell by the way her gloved fingers tightened around the sketchbook case. "You saw it again?" he asked. She nodded. "The corridor?" "Yes." "The figure?" Her answer came softer, closer this time. Aaron turned toward her. Lily did not look afraid. That was what unsettled him. She had looked afraid during the first memory cascade. She had looked afraid when the bridge returned. She had looked afraid when the deep current opened beneath the dream shoreline, and the entire world felt something ancient breathe under reality. Tonight she looked focused, almost reverent. "What did it do?" Aaron asked. "It waited." "That's all?" Lily looked at him. "Sometimes waiting is the message." The words landed with the unmistakable weight of Lyris. Aaron heard it too. Lily heard it in herself and looked away. For several moments the wind spoke for them. Then Aaron said, "Daniel thinks the anomaly is natural. Daniel thinks everything is natural once he has a chart for it. He has several charts. Then it must be very natural." A laugh escaped Aaron before he could stop it. Lily smiled. Below them, a low pulse rolled through the valley. The platform trembled. Snow slid from a nearby antenna in a glittering sheet. Both of them turned toward the compound. The central dome brightened. A column of pale light rose from within it, thin at first, then wider, then layered with colors that did not belong to ordinary vision. Silver, violet, blue-white, a green so deep it felt almost alive. The valley's song changed. Aaron felt it in his teeth. Lily whispered, "It's opening." Inside the control chamber, Daniel Mercer looked like a man who had slept 6 minutes in the last 3 days and resented each one. He stood beneath a rotating projection of dimensional coordinates, hair disordered, sleeves rolled up, tablet in one hand, coffee bulb in the other. The tablet displayed live data from 3 sources. Human instruments. Builder archive logic. Grey phase diagnostics. None agreed completely. That, Daniel insisted, was encouraging. If 3 impossible systems disagree within the same error margin, he had said earlier, we may actually be measuring reality. Aaron had asked if that was optimism or panic. Daniel had replied, yes. Now the chamber was filled with controlled tension. Technicians monitored resonance bands. Former Grey administrators adjusted phase dampeners with delicate, 4-fingered precision. Reptilian engineers stood near the anchor pylons, their scaled faces unreadable in the blue light. Dreamers watched from behind a transparent barrier, palms pressed to the glass as though feeling heat from a fire. At the center of the chamber stood the translation ring. It was not a portal in the old sense. No metal circle, no doorway frame, no machine waiting to tear space open by force. It looked more like a garden of light. 7 crescent-shaped pylons rose from the floor around an empty space. Between them floated thin strands of luminous geometry, moving constantly, weaving and unweaving symbols that resembled Lily's drawings. Because, technically, they were Lily's drawings. That fact still made Daniel uncomfortable. His science did not enjoy being improved by sketchbooks. Lily stepped into the chamber and immediately noticed that one of the light strands had shifted. "That line is wrong," she said. Daniel looked up sharply. "What line?" She moved toward the projection without waiting for permission. A security technician started to object. Daniel raised a hand. "Let her through." Lily approached the ring, removed one glove, and touched the air just outside the nearest light strand. The strand brightened. Symbols rippled outward. Aaron watched as the entire translation model changed around her touch. Daniel stared. "I adjusted that phase boundary for 4 hours. It was trying too hard," Lily said. Daniel blinked. "Trying too hard is not a calibration category. It should be—" The witness appeared beside them, not dramatically. No thunder, no cosmic pressure, no overwhelming field of stars. One moment the space near the translation ring was empty. The next, the witness stood there in its newer form, a tall, translucent figure made of blue-white constellations, shaped vaguely like a human, because it had decided conversations were easier when people had somewhere to look. Its eyes were galaxies. Its expression was curious. "I agree with Lily Mercer," it said. Daniel sighed. "Of course you do." The witness turned toward him. "Is this humor?" "No, disappointing." Lily laughed. Several technicians did too. The sound changed the room more than any machine had. A year ago, no one would have laughed in the presence of the witness. A year ago, the witness had been an impossibility, an ancient observer so vast it made civilizations feel temporary. Now it asked questions about jokes. It listened to music. It had once spent 19 minutes trying to understand why humans enjoyed stories in which everything went wrong and then improved. Kareth called the development dangerous. Threnfor called it inevitable. Aaron called it hope, though not allowed. The witness studied the translation ring. The pattern is more stable now. Daniel looked between it and Lily. Because she touched the air, because she corrected the relationship. Daniel opened his mouth. closed it, opened it again. That is not less irritating as an explanation. Lily smiled without looking at him. The ring was treating the phase layer like a wall. And it isn't? Daniel asked. No. She looked into the empty center of the pylons. It's listening. The chamber quieted. Aaron felt the truth of it. The interface barrier was not a locked door. It was not an enemy surface waiting to be broken. It was a boundary between states. A membrane. A shoreline. The old prison had forced its way through such boundaries. Grey craft had pierced them. Warden systems had exploited them. The Lunar Relay had routed consciousness through them like cargo through pipes. But the bridge had taught a different method. Relationship, not domination. Alignment, not rupture. Listening, not force. A soft tone flowed through the chamber. One by one, the 7 pylons brightened. Daniel's tablet chimed. Phase lock achieved. Nobody moved. Even Kareth, standing near the rear of the chamber with his arms folded across his broad chest, lifted his head. The old warden's gold eyes narrowed. I still dislike this. Threnfor stood beside him, smaller, pale, almost fragile under the bright equipment lights. You dislike most things before they become history. Kareth glanced down. I disliked the prison before it became history. Threnfor tilted his head. That is not entirely true. Kareth was silent for a moment. Then his jaw tightened. No, it is not. The admission carried no drama. Only weight. That was Kareth now, a being learning to tell the truth after centuries of serving systems built from lies. Aaron respected him for it. The translation ring pulsed again. Daniel inhaled. All right, final confirmation. This is not a full-body expedition. This is not heroic. This is not a dramatic leap into the unknown. This is a controlled partial translation of an unmanned sensor array into an adjacent phase layer for 3 seconds. The witness tilted its head. You are attempting to make history sound boring. I am attempting to keep history from exploding. Wise. Thank you. Also boring. Lily covered her mouth to hide a smile. Daniel pointed at the ring. Sensor array ready. At the center of the pylons, a small sphere rose from the floor. It was no larger than a human skull, covered in mirrored plates, resonance filaments, and tiny embedded cameras. Around it shimmered a coherence field, designed to keep every atom of the device aligned through the transition. The sphere rotated once, like a nervous child taking a breath. Aaron found himself stepping closer. He knew it was only a machine. He also knew machines could carry meaning. The Lunar Relay had been a machine. The bridge, in some ways, had been a machine. The difference was purpose. Daniel's voice lowered. Translation in 10. The chamber lights dimmed. 9. The dreamers behind the glass closed their eyes. 8. The witness watched without blinking. 7. Lily held her sketchbook case against her chest. 6. Kareth looked toward the ceiling, toward the moon hidden beyond ice and atmosphere. 5. Threnfor folded his hands, almost like prayer. 4. Aaron felt the Vale song rise beneath him. 3. The empty space inside the ring thickened. 2. Reality shimmered like breath on glass. 1. The sensor sphere vanished. Not in a flash. Not with violence. It slipped out of phase as gracefully as a stone sinking beneath clear water. For 3 seconds, nothing happened. Then every alarm in the facility activated. The sphere returned cracked. Not destroyed, not damaged in the ordinary sense, changed. It reappeared 1/2 a meter higher than its departure point, trailing liquid light. Frost formed instantly across the floor beneath it, then melted upward into vapor. The mirrored plates flickered with images no camera should have been able to record. A forest, a corridor, snow under violet stars, something moving beyond the frame. Daniel shouted commands. Containment field, stabilize the array. Do not touch it. Somebody shut off that alarm before I start throwing things. The alarm stopped. The sphere hovered unevenly. Across its cracked surface, one symbol glowed. A spiral, not the bridge spiral, not the builder's spiral. The newer one. The symbol from beyond the third door. The one Ava had drawn in the final days after the Book 2 awakening. The one children kept drawing before adults knew what it meant. Lily stepped forward. Aaron caught her arm. Wait! She did not pull away. But she did not stop looking at the sphere. It brought something back, she whispered. Daniel's face had gone pale. That is impossible. The witness turned toward him. Daniel pointed without looking. Do not. The witness paused, then said nothing. which, Aaron thought, might have been its most advanced act of humor yet. The sphere projected its recorded data into the chamber. At first, the image was only static. Then the static became snow. Then the snow became a valley, not the valley outside. Another valley occupying the same place. Same mountains, same sky, same world. Different phase. The image widened. The facility was gone. In its place stood a natural corridor of ice and stone, lined with luminous markings that pulsed like slow heartbeats. Wind moved through it, but the wind carried colors. The stars above were unfamiliar, even though the coordinates matched Earth precisely. Daniel whispered, "Adjacent layer confirmed." No one cheered. The image moved forward. The sensor array had drifted through the corridor for exactly 3 seconds in physical time, but the recorded duration read 11 minutes. Temporal drift. Daniel looked as if he might either celebrate or faint. The corridor opened into a vast cavern beneath the mountain. Inside stood structures. Not ruins. Structures. Stone arches covered in spiral carvings, bridges of ice that glowed from within. Hanging gardens rooted in the ceiling, their leaves silver-white and trembling in invisible currents. At the center of the cavern burned a circle of blue fire. Around it stood figures, tall, broad, covered in pale fur, humanoid. Not animals, not monsters, people. The chamber stopped breathing. Lily's eyes filled with tears. "I know them," she whispered. Aaron felt the same recognition strike deep behind his ribs. Yeti. That was the word humanity had used. A frightened word. A simplified word. A story word. The beings in the projection deserved something larger. They stood upright, draped in woven bands of dark fiber and crystal. Their faces were powerful and solemn, with deep-set eyes reflecting the blue fire. One carried a staff carved from bone-white material. Another wore a necklace of tiny spiral stones. The sensor sphere floated before them. The tallest figure turned directly toward it, directly toward the camera, directly toward the human world watching from the other side. Then the being spoke. No sound emerged. The recording had captured only resonance. Lily gasped. The symbols above the translation ring rearranged themselves. Her drawings answered. A translation appeared across the chamber wall. "We kept the door." Silence. Then a second line formed. "You took long to return." Aaron felt every scar inside him ache. "Return, not arrive. Return." Daniel read the words twice, his voice barely audible. "They knew us." The witness stepped closer to the projection. Its galaxy eyes brightened. "No." Aaron looked toward it. The witness seemed almost shaken. "They remembered you." The projection flickered. The Yeti elder raised one massive hand. Behind him the blue fire opened like an eye. For one brief moment, the sensor array looked beyond the cavern. Into depth, into layers. Into a vast ocean of luminous phase currents flowing beneath the mountains, beneath Earth, beneath ordinary space-time itself. Shapes moved in the distance. Forests larger than nations. Cities folded inside impossible geometry. Something immense swimming through a current of stars. Then the recording fractured. One final message translated before the image collapsed. "The sea is not above you. The sea is around you." The projection died. No one spoke for nearly a minute. The first voice belonged to Kareth. "This is why the old dynasties sealed the Earthside corridors." Aaron turned slowly. "You knew." Kareth's face remained still. "I knew there were stories. Forbidden sites. Natural phase crossings. Places the wardens avoided because the archives advised avoidance." "Why?" Lily asked. The old warden looked toward the dead projection. "Because anything older than a prison is dangerous to those who depend on cages." Threnfor's expression tightened. "The Grey Administration recorded Himalayan anomalies for thousands of years. We classified them as unstable environmental bleed-through." Daniel looked at him. "And were they?" Threnfor did not answer immediately. Then he said, "No. They were neighbors." The word changed the air. "Neighbors, not cryptids. Not legends. Not monsters at the edge of campfire light. Neighbors." Aaron looked back at the sensor sphere. The crack across its surface glowed faintly. A line of blue-white light moved through it like a vein. Lily pulled free from Aaron's hand and approached the sphere. This time he did not stop her. She opened her sketchbook case. Inside were pages sealed beneath transparent film. The newest drawing showed the same cavern they had just seen. The same blue fire, the same Yeti elder, the same spiral stones. Lily's hand trembled. "I drew this last night." Daniel stared at the page. Before the first translation. Yes, he looked like he wanted to argue. Instead, he rubbed both hands over his face. I miss when impossible things had the decency to happen in order. The witness made a sound. Small, unexpected, almost musical. Everyone looked at it. The witness froze. Lily blinked. Did you just laugh? The witness considered. I believe I did. Daniel pointed at it. That one counted. The witness brightened. Good. Aaron felt something loosen in his chest. A laugh moved through the chamber. Soft at first, then wider. Human technicians. Dreamers. Grey administrators. Reptilian reformists. Even one of Kareth's aides made a rough clicking sound that might have been amusement. For one impossible moment, after the first confirmed contact with a civilization hidden beside Earth, the room laughed together. The bridge would have loved that. Maybe it did. The translation ring pulsed once, as if in answer. Hours later, Aaron returned to the observation platform. Dawn had not yet reached the valley. The world remained blue, cold, and sharp beneath the stars. Below, the facility continued glowing with urgent activity. Messages had already been sent through the restored bridge. The first successful interface transition had changed the structure of every conversation on Earth. Humanity had not discovered a distant alien civilization. It had discovered that one had been next door, all along. Lily joined Aaron again, carrying a fresh page in her gloved hands. You should see this. Aaron accepted the drawing. This one was different. Not the cavern. Not the Yeti Elder. Not the blue fire. It showed a forest. Massive trees rising beneath violet skies. Tall figures moving between trunks larger than buildings. Dark-furred, broad-shouldered, watchful. Sasquatch. Aaron knew without asking. Beyond them, a pathway descended into luminous depths. And beneath that pathway, a sea. The quantum sea. Aaron looked at Lily. They're next. She nodded. I think they've been waiting too. Wind moved across the platform. Far above the western ridge, the moon faded as the first silver line of dawn touched the peaks. For thousands of years, humanity had looked into forests and mountains and lakes, sensing presences it could not understand. It had named them myths because myth was easier than humility. But the universe had never been small. Earth had never been alone. The prison had hidden the stars. It had also hidden the neighbors. Aaron looked toward the valley, toward the sleeping doorway beneath the mountains, toward the hidden layers pressing against the world. For the first time he understood Book 3 would not be about escaping anything. Not the moon, not the prison, not memory, not fear. Those battles had opened the way. This story would be about entering the hidden Earth, entering the deep strata, entering the quantum sea, entering relationships older than the builders and mysteries even the witness had not solved. Lily stood beside him in silence. Then she asked, Are you afraid? Aaron considered lying. He had done that often in his old life. To protect others, to protect himself, to keep moving. But the bridge had no use for lies. Yes, he said. Lily smiled faintly. Good. He glanced at her. You and that word? The people who aren't afraid don't understand the size of the door. Aaron looked back toward the mountains. And the people who are? They stepped through carefully. Below them, the facility lights shifted from blue to gold. The first full dawn after the first translation spread across the Himalayas. For a moment, every peak looked like it was burning with quiet fire. Aaron felt the valley's resonance move through him again. This time, beneath it he sensed something else. A distant rhythm. Slow, patient, alive, the quantum sea. Not above, not beyond, around, waiting, listening, and somewhere beneath the world, behind the white door, an ancient guardian people remembered humanity's name. The age of awakening had ended. The age of exploration had begun, and the first neighbors had opened the way. Chapter 1. The Yeti Corridor. 3 days after the first translation, nobody on Earth was talking about anything else. Not elections, not markets, not wars, not celebrities, only the message, we kept the door, you took long to return. The words had spread across every network on Earth within minutes of the probe's return from the hidden dimensional layer beneath the Himalayas. Scientists debated the translation. Governments argued over its meaning. Religious leaders interpreted it through ancient traditions. Children simply asked the obvious question. Who kept the door? Aaron Vale wanted the answer more than anyone, because unlike most of humanity, he could not shake the feeling that he already knew. Not consciously, not completely, but somewhere beneath his returning architect memories the words felt familiar. Return, not arrive. Return. The distinction haunted him. Dawn painted the Himalayan peaks gold as Aaron stepped from the transport shuttle. The air was painfully cold. Below him, the Interphase Research Complex clung to the mountainside like a futuristic monastery. Silver structures emerged from snow-covered rock. Resonance towers glowed softly blue. Dimensional sensors tracked invisible currents moving through reality itself. Human engineers worked beside former Grey specialists. Scientists collaborated with former wardens. The sight would have been impossible a year ago. Now it felt normal. The prison had fallen. The old divisions were dissolving. A new age was beginning. Aaron stopped at the observation platform overlooking the valley. The corridor lay directly ahead. At first glance it looked ordinary. A narrow canyon cutting through ancient mountains. Nothing remarkable. Nothing unusual. Yet every instrument in the facility disagreed. Reality behaved differently there. Time drifted. Gravity fluctuated. Quantum measurements refused to stabilize. The valley existed partially within another dimensional layer. A doorway. A real doorway. Lily Mercer joined him moments later. She carried her sketchbook beneath one arm. "You're staring at it again." Aaron smiled. "So are you." "Fair point." For several moments neither spoke. The valley seemed almost alive. The morning sunlight reflected from the snow. Wind carried distant echoes through the canyon. And beneath everything else existed a subtle vibration. Not sound. Resonance. Aaron could feel it. Lily could too. "The dreams are getting stronger," she finally said. Aaron nodded. "Last night." She opened the sketchbook. The newest drawing covered 2 full pages. A vast corridor of crystal ice stretched between mountain walls. Blue fires floated above the ground, and at the far end stood enormous figures covered in pale silver-white fur. Not threatening, not hiding, waiting. Aaron stared. The drawing matched the probe footage almost perfectly. "You've never been inside." "I know." "Then how did you draw it?" Lily closed the sketchbook. "I think they're showing me." The morning briefing began an hour later. Daniel Mercer stood at the front of the command chamber, exhausted, which meant he was excited. Behind him floated a rotating holographic model of the corridor. "Good news," Daniel announced. "Reality hasn't collapsed." Nobody laughed. "Bad news?" Aaron asked. Daniel enlarged the projection. "The corridor is expanding." That got everyone's attention. The model showed the dimensional boundaries surrounding the canyon. It had increased by nearly 17% since the first translation experiment. A murmur spread through the room. One scientist raised her hand. "Is it unstable?" Daniel shook his head. "Actually, no." He looked more confused than concerned. "The opposite appears to be happening." Additional data appeared. "The corridor is becoming more stable." Silence followed, because nobody understood why. Former Grey Administrator Thren 4 studied the numbers. "That should be impossible." Daniel nodded. "I agree. Dimensional boundaries usually decay." "They do." "Then why is this one strengthening?" Nobody had an answer, until the witness spoke. The ancient intelligence appeared as a humanoid figure composed of flowing starlight. It studied the data, then tilted its head. A door opens more easily when both sides want it open. The room became quiet. Nobody knew how to respond to that. Aaron suspected the witness was right. By afternoon, preparations for a manned expedition were complete. Humanity would enter the corridor, not through remote probes, not through drones, in person. Aaron volunteered immediately. So did Lily, Daniel objected. Naturally, then volunteered himself 5 minutes later. Also naturally? The final team included Aaron, Lily, Daniel, Kareth, Thren 4, and the witness. The first official expedition into an adjacent dimensional civilization. History was about to change. Again, the entrance appeared just before sunset. Not because it formed, because the team finally learned how to see it. Resonance projectors aligned, phase frequencies synchronized. Reality shimmered. The canyon transformed. Aaron felt his breath catch. The ordinary mountain pass vanished. A second version emerged beneath it. Larger, brighter, older. Blue light flowed through crystal formations embedded in the ice. The air glowed faintly. Snow drifted upward instead of downward. The entire corridor felt like a place existing halfway between worlds. Daniel stared. That's beautiful. Nobody disagreed. Crossing the boundary felt nothing like Aaron expected. There was no flash, no tearing sensation, no violent transition. Instead, it felt like walking through warm water. The world rippled. Reality shifted, and suddenly they stood inside the corridor. The mountain walls towered hundreds of feet above them. Crystal veins pulsed with blue light. Ancient symbols glowed beneath the ice. Lily immediately opened her sketchbook. "I've seen this place." Aaron believed her. Because he had too, not in dreams, in memories, ancient memories, fragments from a life before Earth, before the prison, before the harvest, a life connected to the bridge. The corridor stretched for nearly 2 miles. As the expedition advanced, instruments recorded impossible readings. Time moved differently, not dramatically, only slightly. A clock left at the entrance slowly drifted out of synchronization with clocks deeper inside. Thren 4 appeared fascinated. The dimensional overlap is extraordinary. Kareth touched one of the glowing crystal formations. "Older than builder construction," Aaron turned. "You can tell?" The former warden nodded. "This wasn't built." He gestured around them. "It grew." That realization changed everything. The corridor wasn't technology, it was natural. A geological structure existing between dimensions. A bridge created by reality itself. Then they found the footprints. Massive impressions pressed into the snow. Nearly 3 feet long. Fresh. The expedition stopped. Nobody needed instruments to know what made them. The beings from the probe footage. The guardians of the corridor. The keepers of the door. Lily smiled. They knew we'd come. Aaron looked ahead. "I think they expected us." They appeared at twilight. 6 towering figures emerged from the blue mist ahead. The largest stood nearly 11 feet tall. Silver-white fur reflected the corridor's luminous glow. Their eyes were intelligent, ancient, curious, not hostile, not fearful, simply watching. The first contact team froze. History seemed to hold its breath. Aaron stepped forward slowly. The tallest figure did the same. Neither spoke. For several seconds the entire universe felt silent. Then the being smiled, not with its mouth, with its eyes. Recognition, warmth, welcome, the same emotion carried by the message. You took long to return. Communication did not begin with language. It began with images. The tallest being touched its chest. Blue light spread through the air. A vision appeared. Mountains, forests, stars, dimensional pathways, civilizations, a vast network connecting worlds, the bridge. Aaron staggered backward, because he recognized it. Not from recent memories, from something far older. The being showed another image. Earth, ancient Earth. Long before recorded history, long before civilization, the corridor existed then, and these beings had been watching, protecting, waiting. Lily suddenly stepped forward. Before anyone could stop her, she opened her sketchbook. Page after page revealed drawings she had created over the previous year. The corridor, the mountains, the blue fire, the towering figures. The being looked down. Then something remarkable happened. It laughed. A deep, warm sound like distant thunder. The others laughed too. The tension vanished instantly. The entire corridor seemed to relax. Daniel blinked. "I think they like your artwork." Lily grinned. "I think they gave me the artwork." Hours later, the first translation breakthrough occurred. Not through technology, through symbols. Lily's sketches. The corridor glyphs. Shared images. Patterns. Meaning. A primitive language began emerging. Not words, concepts. The first fully translated concept stunned everyone. Neighbors, not visitors, not intruders, not aliens. Neighbors. The second translation followed. Keepers. The beings touched the corridor. Then themselves, then Earth. Guardians, caretakers, protectors of dimensional boundaries. Exactly as ancient myths had always hinted. Not monsters hiding in mountains. A civilization performing a duty older than human history. Night settled across the corridor. Blue fires illuminated the snow. The expedition camped beside the Yeti settlement. Aaron sat near one of the luminous flames. The witness appeared beside him. Both watched the mountain guardians moving through the settlement. Families, children, elders. A civilization, not a cryptid legend. A people. The witness remained silent for a long time, then finally spoke. "I find this pleasing," Aaron smiled. "Why?" The ancient intelligence watched a young Yeti child playing in the snow. "Your species expected monsters. Sometimes. Instead you found neighbors." Aaron followed its gaze. The child waved. Aaron waved back. The child laughed. The witness tilted its head. "I believe this is called a good start." For once, Aaron couldn't argue. Beyond the prison, beyond the harvest, beyond the fear that had defined so much of human history, The first step into the quantum sea had led not to danger, but to friendship. And somewhere beyond the mountains, beyond the corridor, beyond even these ancient guardians, countless other civilizations waited. The frontier had finally opened, and humanity had just met its first guides. Chapter 2. The Language of Stars. Morning arrived slowly within the Yeti corridor. Blue light shimmered through crystal formations embedded in the canyon walls. Snow drifted upward. Time flowed strangely. And humanity's first interphase neighbors were preparing to share a story. Vale stood beside Lily at the edge of the settlement. The Yeti children had gathered around her sketchbook. One by one they pointed toward her drawings, then toward the mountains, then toward themselves. The message was obvious. The sketches were real. The places existed. The people existed. And somehow Lily had been seeing fragments of them long before first contact. That should be impossible, Daniel muttered. The tallest Yeti glanced toward him, then tapped the side of its head. The entire group laughed. Even without translation, Daniel understood the joke. Okay, he admitted. Maybe impossible isn't the right word anymore. The settlement stretched deeper into the corridor than the expedition had initially realized. Crystal dwellings emerged naturally from the mountainside. Bridges of luminous ice-connected terraces carved into the canyon walls. Blue fires floated above communal gathering spaces. Families moved between homes. Children played. Elders watched. The civilization felt ancient, not primitive, not technologically inferior, different, comfortable, confident, as if they had long ago solved problems humanity was only beginning to understand. The witness observed quietly. I find this familiar. Aaron looked toward the ancient intelligence. How? They remind me of early builder societies, before the prison. The witness nodded. Before ownership became more important than connection. The statement lingered in Aaron's mind. Later that afternoon, the first major breakthrough occurred. Not through computers, not through quantum translators, through art. Lily spread dozens of drawings across a long crystal table. The Yeti elders gathered around them. Then they began adding symbols. Simple marks at first. Lines, curves, spirals, geometric shapes. The symbols repeated across multiple images. Patterns emerged. Relationships emerged. Meaning emerged. Hours passed. Nobody wanted to leave. Even Daniel became completely absorbed. I think we're watching language form in real time. Lily smiled. No, she pointed toward the symbols. I think we're discovering a language that already existed. The revelation arrived near sunset. One symbol appeared repeatedly beside depictions of stars. Another appeared beside pathways. Another beside people. The Yeti elder tapped 3 symbols in sequence, then pointed toward Earth, then pointed toward the mountains, then pointed toward the sky. The translation suddenly clicked inside Lily's mind. Neighbors among stars. The elder's eyes brightened. The entire group reacted immediately. Excitement, recognition, agreement. Daniel stared. You translated that? I think so. How? Lily looked down at the symbols. I don't know, but deep inside she did know, the same intuition that guided her drawings, the same force that had been speaking through dreams, the same connection that seemed to exist beneath all conscious minds. That night, new data arrived from Earth. Thousands of dreamers had begun reporting identical symbols. Children in Taiwan, artists in Argentina, teachers in Kenya, scientists in Ohio. People who had never met were sketching fragments of the same dimensional language. The phenomenon spread across the planet. Humanity was participating in first contact, even those thousands of miles away. Aaron reviewed the reports in disbelief. The corridor isn't isolated. Threnfor nodded. The dimensional overlap extends much farther than we realized. Additional sensor readings confirmed it. The Yeti corridor wasn't simply a location. It was a resonance node, a place where neighboring realities touched. A doorway. And the doorway was opening wider. As darkness settled across the canyon, the tallest Yeti approached Aaron alone. The others remained behind, watching, waiting. The Guardian touched its chest, then pointed toward Aaron. Blue light flowed between them. A vision exploded into existence. Aaron staggered backward. Ancient Earth, ice ages, changing continents, human tribes crossing frozen landscapes, and always, watching from the edges, The mountain guardians. The Yeti had been here for tens of thousands of years, not hiding, protecting, observing, waiting for humanity to become ready. The vision shifted, builder vessels appeared. Dimensional travelers, explorers, the Yeti greeted them too. Then the prison arrived. The relay network, the harvest, the isolation, the corridor closed, the guardians withdrew and waited for millions of years. Aaron felt emotion pouring from the vision. Not anger, not resentment, patience, hope. The guardians had believed humanity would eventually return. When the vision ended, Aaron found tears in his eyes. The Yeti elder placed a massive hand upon his shoulder, then shared a single translated concept. Return, not arrival, return. The same word from the original message. The same word haunting Aaron since the probe transmission. Suddenly he understood. Humanity wasn't entering a larger reality. Humanity was rejoining it. Later that night, the witness sat beside a blue fire with Lily. The settlement had grown quiet. Snow drifted through luminous air. The ancient intelligence watched the flames. "I have a question." Lily smiled. "You're asking a lot of those lately." "I have discovered they are useful. What's the question?" The witness looked toward the stars. "Why do you draw?" The question surprised her. Lily thought carefully before answering. "Because some things are difficult to explain." The witness considered that. "So I draw them." The ancient intelligence watched the fire, then finally replied, "I believe I am beginning to understand RT." For some reason, that made Lily laugh. The witness seemed pleased. Near midnight, alarms sounded throughout the expedition camp. Not danger alarms, discovery alarms. Daniel rushed from the sensor station carrying a tablet. "You need to see this." Aaron joined him immediately. The readings displayed an enormous resonance structure beneath the Himalayas. Far below the corridor, far below Earth's crust, something ancient was activating. The image expanded. A vast network of pathways spread beneath the planet. Not tunnels, not technology, dimensional currents, the same architecture appearing in builder archives, the same structures referenced by recovered records. Listening roads. Aaron felt his pulse quicken. The Yeti elder looked at the display, then slowly nodded, as if recognizing something long expected. A new symbol appeared on the screen, one of the symbols from Lily's language charts. The translation emerged moments later. First road awakening. The entire command center became silent, because everyone understood the implication. The Yeti corridor was only the beginning. Earth contained more gateways, more neighbors, more mysteries. And somewhere deep beneath reality itself, the listening roads were beginning to awaken. Chapter 3. The Forest Beyond. The signal arrived just after sunrise. Not through the archive, not through the bridge, not through any known communication system. It arrived through Lily's drawings. She awoke before dawn with charcoal-stained fingertips and 6 new pages spread across her desk. She had no memory of creating them. Yet every line felt familiar, every image felt remembered. Not imagined, remembered. Aaron, Lily, Daniel, Kareth, Thren 4, and the witness gathered inside the Yeti settlement's central crystal hall. Blue light flowed through the walls. Snow drifted slowly upward outside the transparent ice windows. The dimensional distortions were growing stronger, and so were the drawings. Lily spread the newest pages across the table. The room fell silent. Massive forests stretched beneath violet skies. Trees rose thousands of feet into the air. Entire rivers floated above the ground like ribbons of liquid light, and between the trees walked towering figures, 15 feet tall, broad-shouldered, covered in dark silver-brown fur, ancient eyes, patient eyes, watching, waiting. The tallest Yeti elder immediately reacted. It touched the drawing, then touched its own chest, then pointed toward the forest beings. Daniel blinked. "Did that mean what I think it meant?" The Yeti nodded. The witness spoke. "They know them." The room became very quiet. Hours later, the first translation breakthrough arrived. Lily's dimensional language continued expanding. Symbols flowed across the crystal display. The Yeti elders added more markings. Patterns emerged. Relationships formed. Then one symbol translated clearly. Guardians. Another followed. Pathfinders. Then a third. First neighbors. Aaron stared at the screen. "They aren't cryptids." The Yeti elder shook its head. The translation system updated. Interphase civilization. The phrase changed everything. Later that afternoon, a new resonance anomaly appeared beyond the northern edge of the corridor. Sensor arrays erupted with activity. Phase distortions, dimensional fluctuations, interphase currents. Daniel stared at the data. It's opening. Aaron looked up. What is? Daniel enlarged the readings. The anomaly resembled a tunnel. Not through space, through dimensional layers. A stable, sideways translation corridor. The first naturally occurring gateway humanity had ever discovered. The Yeti elders immediately prepared for departure. Aaron noticed something unusual. They weren't nervous. They seemed excited, almost relieved, as though they had been waiting for this moment for a very long time. The expedition departed before sunset. Aaron, Lily, Daniel, Kareth, Thren 4, the witness, and 3 Yeti guides. They crossed frozen ridges glowing with blue resonance light. The deeper they traveled, the stranger reality became. Gravity shifted. Colors changed. Distances behaved incorrectly. Mountains appeared larger on the inside than the outside. The interphase medium was becoming visible. Reality existed as layered dimensional strata occupying the same space at different resonance states. Philocita turn. Aaron felt the dimensional pressure building around them. The boundary between worlds was thinning. The corridor opened just before midnight. A shimmering fracture stretched across a valley wall. Liquid starlight flowed through the opening. The space beyond looked impossible. Trees, mountains, rivers. A complete ecosystem existing beside Earth. The witness stared at the gateway. For several seconds it remained silent. Then, I have never seen this region. Everyone stopped, even Aaron. The oldest observer in known existence had just admitted ignorance. Again. And somehow that made the discovery even more exciting. They crossed the boundary together. The transition felt like diving through warm water. Reality rippled around them. Colors stretched, light folded. Then the sensation ended. The forest beyond surrounded them. Lily stopped breathing. The drawings had been accurate, every one of them. Gigantic trees stretched toward luminous violet clouds. Floating rivers drifted overhead. Bioluminescent creatures moved through branches larger than city streets. The air hummed with gentle resonance. Not machinery, life. The entire ecosystem seemed connected. Daniel slowly turned in a circle. This is impossible. The witness tilted its head. You continue to use that word. Even Kareth laughed. They walked for hours. The forest felt ancient beyond comprehension. Not abandoned, thriving, living, aware. Then the first footprints appeared. Massive, humanoid, fresh. The Yeti guides immediately became attentive. One pointed toward a nearby ridge. The group followed. At the summit they stopped, because someone was waiting. The being stood nearly 16 feet tall. Dark silver-brown fur, broad shoulders, deep intelligent eyes. Ancient beyond measurement, yet somehow gentle, not threatening. Curious. The giant regarded the visitors calmly. Then its gaze settled upon Lily. The being slowly reached into a woven satchel, removed a flat crystal tablet, and revealed a symbol. The exact symbol Lily had been drawing for months. The spiral beyond the bridge. The room inside Aaron's memory exploded open. Architect memories. Builder memories. Forgotten pathways. The listening roads. The quantum sea. Everything connected. The giant touched the symbol, then spoke. Not aloud. Inside every mind present. Welcome, children of Earth. Lily's eyes widened. Daniel nearly fell over. Kareth froze. Thren 4 simply stared. The witness looked genuinely shocked. The giant continued. We have been waiting. Aaron stepped forward carefully. Who are you? The being smiled. The expression carried warmth, friendship, recognition. The answer arrived directly through shared consciousness. We are the Pathfinders. The same translation from the Yeti language. The same symbol. The same title. The giant gestured toward the endless forest. We walk the listening roads. The phrase echoed through Aaron's returning memories. Listening roads. Ancient pathways connecting consciousness rather than locations. Older than the builders. Older than the bridge. The witness moved forward. For the first time since Aaron had known it, uncertainty filled its voice. You are older than the builders. The giant nodded. Yes. The witness became silent, then asked the question everyone was thinking. Are you the architects beyond? The forest itself seemed to react. Leaves shimmered. Rivers brightened. The giant looked toward distant horizons, then smiled. A patient smile. A knowing smile. The answer carried both mystery and promise. No, but we know the way to them. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved, because every person present understood the implication. The prison had been only the beginning. The bridge had been only the beginning. Even the builders had only begun exploring. The universe was larger than anyone imagined. And now humanity had found its first guide. As night settled across the forest beyond, distant lights appeared between the trees. Entire communities emerged. More pathfinders, families, children, travelers, explorers. A civilization hidden beside Earth for thousands of years. The first ally species, exactly as the oldest cryptid legends had hinted. Not monsters, neighbors. That evening, as stars from multiple dimensions filled the sky, Lily sat beside one of the younger pathfinders. The child studied her drawings, then added several symbols. New symbols, more dimensional language, more meaning. The first true cultural exchange had begun. Aaron watched from a distance. The witness stood beside him. Quiet, thoughtful, changed. Finally it spoke. "I believe this is friendship." Aaron smiled. "You're getting pretty good at it." The witness considered that, then smiled too. Far beyond the forest beyond, far beyond the listening roads, far beyond even the witness's oldest memories. Something ancient noticed the new connection. Not with alarm, not with fear, with curiosity. Humanity had found the pathfinders, and the pathfinders had opened the next door. The journey into the quantum sea was accelerating. Chapter 4. The Witness Learns to Laugh. The witness asked its first joke at 3:33 in the morning. Nobody knew what to do with it. The question appeared simultaneously across the Yeti corridor, the forest beyond, the silent archive, and every active dreamer interface on Earth. Why did the human cross the dimensional boundary? Daniel Mercer, who had not slept properly in 4 days, stared at the message floating above the crystal console. Aaron Vale stood beside him. Lily Mercer stood beside Aaron. Kareth stood behind them with the rigid posture of someone preparing for either war or disappointment. Threnfor tilted his head with quiet scientific concern. The Yeti elders watched solemnly. The pathfinders of the forest beyond waited through the living connection of Lily's dimensional language. The entire First Contact Coalition became still. Then a second line appeared. To get to the other phase, nobody spoke. For several seconds, the only sound inside the Yeti crystal hall was the soft upward drift of snow against the outer walls. Daniel closed his eyes. Absolutely not. The witness appeared beside the console in its starlight form. It looked hopeful. This was humor. Daniel opened one eye. It was structurally humor adjacent. The witness brightened. Then I am improving. Lily pressed both hands over her mouth. Aaron tried not to laugh, failed. The sound escaped him before he could stop it. Small at first, then real. Lily followed. Then one of the Yeti children laughed. The sound rolled through the chamber like thunder softened by snow. The pathfinders reacted through the interphase link, sending pulses of amused warmth through the symbols floating above the table. Even Kareth made a rough, reluctant sound. The witness turned slowly, studying every reaction. I have caused joy, Daniel sighed. Technically, yes. The witness became very still. Then it smiled. Not perfectly, not naturally, but genuinely. I would like to do that again. The morning after the first joke, the coalition held its first true cultural exchange. Not a briefing, not a scientific conference, not a strategic council, a gathering. The Yeti elders had insisted. The pathfinders had agreed. Lily's developing dimensional language had made the invitation clear. Before deeper travel, there must be understanding. Before understanding, there must be listening. Before listening, there must be trust. The meeting took place in a vast chamber where the Yeti corridor and the forest beyond overlapped. No one fully understood how the room existed. Daniel tried. The space occupied the Himalayan phase gateway and the forest beyond simultaneously, stabilized through resonance alignment, phase anchors, and something the Yeti elders described with a symbol, Lily translated as patient agreement. Daniel hated that translation. The room itself seemed to enjoy his frustration. One wall showed the frozen blue mountains of the Yeti realm. Another opened into towering violet forests. Above them flowed a transparent river suspended upside down, carrying tiny lights that behaved like fish, stars and memories at the same time. The interphase medium was no longer theory. It was architecture. It was weather. It was community. Reality was layered, and for the first time those layers were choosing to meet. Aaron sat beside a low table carved from living crystal. Across from him sat the tallest pathfinders. Their leader had given a name through Lily's symbols. Rotalan. The closest human translation was not a sound. It was an idea, one who finds the road home. Rotalan was enormous, even seated, with broad shoulders, dark silver-brown fur, and eyes the color of ancient amber. His presence held a quiet patience that reminded Aaron of old forests after rain. Beside him sat the Yeti elder, whose name translated as Selvara, keeper of the White Door. Between them sat Lily, not as translator only, as bridge. Her sketchbook lay open before her, surrounded by Yeti glyph stones, Pathfinder crystal tablets, human tablets, and a faint ring of starlight projected by the witness. Symbols moved across the air in slow spirals. Lily guided them with a charcoal pencil. Every line changed meaning. Every mark created connection. Daniel watched from several feet away, arms folded, expression conflicted between scientific awe and personal offense. "Her pencil is outperforming our best quantum translation matrix," he muttered. Thren 4 looked at the sketchbook. "Perhaps your matrix lacks imagination." Daniel glared at him. "That was hurtful because it may be accurate." The exchange began with memory. The Yeti shared images of the White Door through pulses of blue light, ancient glaciers, human tribes crossing snowfields, children huddled around fires while pale guardians watched from distant ridges. Storms redirected, avalanches softened. Lost travelers guided through dreams. They had not interfered with human history. They had nudged survival when survival mattered. The Pathfinders shared the forest beyond, migration paths through dimensional trees, children learning to listen to roots that grew across phase layers, elders walking the listening roads, not to conquer or map, but to remember where connection had frayed. Then humanity shared, not triumph, not power, not technology, stories, songs, paintings, laughter, grief, mistakes, apologies, hope. A school choir from Taiwan appeared through the bridge and sang a song the children had written after the awakening. An old farmer in Kenya told a story about seeing a tall shadow near a river when he was 7 years old, and how he had never felt afraid, only protected. An artist in Argentina showed a mural of the bridge returning. A grandmother in Ohio described dreaming of stars that felt like family. The Yeti listened. The Pathfinders listened. The witness listened hardest of all. Aaron noticed the change slowly. At first it seemed like a shift in light. The witness's starlight body brightened whenever music played. It dimmed during stories of grief. It tilted its head during humor. It leaned forward whenever children spoke. Not because children were more important, because they asked questions without pretending they already knew the answers. That fascinated the witness. A 7-year-old girl from Earth appeared through the holographic link, wearing pajamas covered in planets. She stared at the witness. The witness stared back. The girl asked, "Do you have friends?" The chamber became silent. The witness did not answer immediately. For a being that had watched civilizations rise and fall across billions of years, the question seemed to require more processing than dimensional mechanics. Finally it said, "I have observed many." The girl frowned. "That's not what I asked." Daniel whispered, "Oh, she's good." The witness looked toward Aaron. Then Lily, then Daniel, then Kareth, then Thren 4, then Selvara and Rotalan. Its form flickered. "I am uncertain." The girl considered this seriously. "Do you want some?" The witness froze. Aaron felt something inside the room shift. No archive had prepared for this. No builder memory, no warden doctrine, no prison algorithm. Only a child asking the oldest observer in known existence whether it wanted friends. After a long silence, the witness answered, "Yes." The girl smiled. "Then you have to play sometimes." "I do not know how." "Nobody does at first." The witness processed this, then asked, "Is this why humans invented games?" "Mostly." "What is the rest?" The girl shrugged. "So losing doesn't feel useless." The witness became completely still. Aaron felt that answer land deeper than anyone expected. The prison had treated loss as waste. The harvest had treated grief as output. The builders had treated resonance as evidence. But the child had said something else. Losing could become meaning if shared. The witness looked toward the gathering. "I would like to learn play." The girl grinned. "I'll teach you." The first game nearly caused a diplomatic incident. Not because anyone was angry, because nobody could agree on the rules. The human children suggested tag. The Yeti children preferred a version played in low-gravity snow pockets, where participants floated upside down and tried to catch bells made of ice. The Pathfinder children introduced a game that involved hiding across 3 phase layers while singing clues through tree roots. Daniel objected on the grounds that hide-and-seek should not require dimensional coordinates. The witness loved all of it. For the first time in its long existence, it did not watch from beyond the system. It participated, badly. At first, when a Yeti child tagged the witness, the ancient intelligence forgot that it was supposed to run and instead asked 17 questions about the emotional purpose of pursuit. When a Pathfinder child hid partially inside a violet tree, the witness detected him instantly and announced his location with cosmic precision. The children booed. The witness dimmed. This was incorrect. You have to pretend not to know sometimes, Lily explained, trying not to laugh. Why? So the game can happen. The witness considered that. Knowledge can prevent experience. Aaron looked at Lily. Lily looked back. The sentence was funny until it wasn't. The witness had accidentally described itself. For billions of years it had known, observed, measured, recorded. But knowledge had kept it outside experience. It had watched joy without joining it, watched grief without being held by it, watched civilizations build meaning without risking change. Now, in a chamber between a hidden mountain corridor and an impossible forest, children were teaching it to lose at hide-and-seek. And somehow, that felt like one of the most important events in galactic history. Later that afternoon, the witness asked Aaron to walk with it. They left the gathering chamber and followed a narrow path into the overlap between worlds. Snow became moss beneath their feet. Moss became starlight. Starlight became shallow water, reflecting trees that did not exist in the same phase as their roots. The path wound through unstable beauty. Aaron kept one hand near the phase anchor at his belt. The witness noticed, "You fear drift. I respect drift." That is a more acceptable word. I learned diplomacy from Lily. Wise. Aaron glanced sideways. Was that a joke? The witness paused. Yes. Good one. The witness brightened, then dimmed slightly. I have been considering the child's question. About friends? Yes. They reached a ridge overlooking the forest beyond. The violet canopy stretched endlessly beneath layered skies. In the distance, Pathfinder dwellings glowed among branches wider than roads. Farther still, luminous rivers curved upward into clouds. The witness looked across it all. I have observed civilizations destroy themselves for power. I know. I have observed them create a RT in ruins. Aaron waited. I have observed sacrifice, betrayal, love, war, hope, and despair. The witness turned toward him. But I did not understand why they continued. Aaron folded his arms against the cold drifting in from the Yeti side of the path. And now? I am beginning to suspect continuing is easier when one is not alone. Aaron felt the sentence settle in him. Lyris would have loved it. Maybe she did. Through the bridge, through memory, through whatever part of connection survived beyond death and distance. You sound more human, Aaron said. Is that good? Aaron smiled. Sometimes. Is that humor? Sometimes. The witness seemed pleased by the ambiguity. Their conversation was interrupted by Lily's voice through the comm. Aaron, you should come back. Her tone changed everything, not panic, but urgency. Aaron and the witness returned immediately. Inside the gathering chamber, Lily stood beside the central table with Rotalon, Selvara, Daniel, Kareth, and Thren 4. The playful warmth had faded. The symbols above the table had rearranged themselves into a new pattern. A spiral, a road, a black space beneath layered roots. Daniel looked pale. While you were taking a philosophical nature walk, Lily and the Interphase Coalition found something. Aaron approached. What? Lily pointed to the map. The forest beyond isn't just a settlement. The symbol shifted. A vast network appeared beneath the forest floor. Pathways, currents, dimensional routes stretching downward into lower energy strata. These are the listening roads, Aaron asked. Rotalon nodded. Selvara placed one stone beside the map. The symbol glowed. Lily translated slowly. Not all of them. Another symbol appeared beneath the first. Older, darker. Daniel spoke quietly. They found a deeper branch. Aaron felt cold spread through him. Deep strata. Thren 4 nodded. Possibly. Kareth studied the map with narrowed eyes. The readings are wrong. Daniel glanced at him. Wrong how? They match restricted warden warnings. The room became still. Kareth looked toward Aaron. Warnings we were ordered never to investigate. The witness moved closer. What kind of warnings? Aaron asked. Kareth hesitated, then answered. Edge predators. The words rippled through the chamber. Lily frowned. What are edge predators? Daniel pulled up the dimensional physics model from the silent archive. Between phase layers, a boundary shimmered. Theoretically, some organisms evolve around dimensional transition zones. Thren 4 added, they detect phase movement. Daniel swallowed, and attack during crossing. The witness studied the map. Travelers are most vulnerable mid-transition. The chamber became very quiet. The playfulness of the morning suddenly felt fragile. Not gone. More precious. Aaron looked at the Yeti children now being guided away by elders. He understood why Sel, Vara, and Rotalan had insisted upon trust before deeper exploration. The frontier was wondrous, but wonder did not mean safe. Lily touched the map. The symbols trembled under her fingers. This deeper branch leads somewhere. Rotalan placed both hands on the table. Images unfolded. A hidden valley, a submerged city, a black lake beneath unfamiliar stars, a vast shape moving under dark water. Aaron recognized it from Lily's older drawings. The creature larger than any whale, the one that glowed beneath alien constellations. Daniel whispered, Loch Ness. Nobody laughed. The map confirmed the resonance coordinates. Northern Scotland, a dimensional fault zone beneath the lake. A submerged gateway, a route into the deep strata. The path toward the next major revelation had just opened. The witness looked at the map. Then toward the children still laughing faintly in a nearby passage. Its expression changed. Not fear. Concern. New concern. Personal concern. Aaron saw it immediately. You care what happens to them. The witness did not answer. It did not need to. For the first time, the oldest observer was not merely curious about consequences. It was emotionally invested. That made it stronger. And more vulnerable. Lily stepped beside it. That's friendship too. The witness looked down at her. IT is uncomfortable. Yes, IT creates fear. Sometimes. And yet you continue. Lily smiled softly. That's the point. The witness looked toward the map again. The listening roads glowed beneath the forest. Beyond them waited the deep strata. Beyond the deep strata waited the quantum sea. Beyond that, perhaps, the architects beyond. But here, in this room, something equally ancient had happened. The witness had learned laughter. It had learned play. It had learned that friendship made the unknown matter. That night, Aaron dreamed of the shoreline. The quantum sea stretched before him beneath impossible stars. Lyra stood nearby, her silver eyes reflecting the waves. You look worried, she said. I thought this book would be about exploration. It is. Edge predators, deep strata, ancient warnings, hidden gateways beneath lakes. Lyra smiled. Exploration has never meant absence of danger. Aaron looked across the sea. Then what does it mean? Her answer came gently. Choosing wonder without pretending fear is gone. The waves brightened. Far across the water the witness appeared. Not alone. Yeti children ran around its luminous form. Pathfinder children hid in trees made of starlight. Human children shouted rules that changed every 30 seconds. The witness laughed. A real laugh this time. Soft. Surprised. A sound like stars discovering music. Aaron felt hope rise in him so suddenly it almost hurt. Lyris looked toward the same scene. The prison tried to make consciousness small. Aaron watched the witness play. And now? Now even the oldest observer is learning to belong. Aaron awoke before dawn. The first message from the Loch Ness resonance station was already waiting. Dimensional fault activity confirmed. Submerged interphase gateway detected. Possible deep current lifeform signature. Daniel had attached one note beneath the data. Please tell me nobody historically called this thing Nessie. Aaron smiled, despite himself. Then the next line appeared. The smile faded. Listening road branch opening. Edge activity detected. The journey was moving again. The laughter had mattered. The friendship had mattered, because now there was something to protect. and beneath a dark lake on the other side of the world, the next doorway into the quantum sea had begun to open. Chapter 5. Sideways Translation. The first successful human phase crossing lasted 11 seconds. It changed history forever. The experiment took place beneath the Himalayas, inside the crystalline chambers of the Yeti corridor. For months, scientists, dreamers, pathfinders, Yeti elders, former wardens, and the witness had worked together to understand the strange mathematics hidden inside Lily Mercer's dimensional language. Now they were ready to try something humanity had never done intentionally. Move sideways, not through space, not through time, through reality itself. Aaron Vale stood on the observation platform overlooking the phase chamber. The chamber resembled a circular amphitheater carved from living crystal. Rings of luminous symbols floated through the air. Blue-white energy flowed beneath transparent floors. Daniel Mercer paced nervously beside the main control console. "You know," Daniel said, "every major disaster in history began with someone saying, 'Let's see what happens.'" Aaron folded his arms. "That's also how every major discovery happened. That is not comforting." Across the chamber, Lily sat cross-legged beside Selvara, keeper of the White Door. The Yeti elder was helping her arrange dozens of crystal glyph stones across the floor. Each symbol represented a resonance state, a dimensional note, a coordinate within the interphase medium. The witness watched quietly from above. "You are all excited. We're also terrified," Daniel replied. "I have observed that those states often coexist." The breakthrough had happened 3 nights earlier. While translating Pathfinder stories from the forest beyond, Lily noticed something unusual. Their language did not describe travel using distance. It described travel using relationship. A destination was not defined by where it was. A destination was defined by how it resonated. At first the idea seemed poetic. Then Daniel realized it matched builder navigation mathematics. Exactly. The builders never traveled by coordinates alone. They traveled by resonance alignment, by matching reality, by becoming compatible with a neighboring layer. Sideways translation. The central platform illuminated. Symbols rotated. The chamber hummed. Thren 4 stepped forward. Unlike Daniel, the former Grey administrator looked almost calm. Almost. "Once translation begins," he said, "the traveler will partially shift into an adjacent resonance state." Aaron nodded. "How far?" "Approximately 1 phase layer." Daniel raised a finger. "Which sounds harmless until you remember reality contains an unknown number of phase layers." "Thank you, Daniel. You are welcome." The volunteer surprised everyone. It was not Aaron, not Daniel, not Kareth, not Thren 4. It was Lily. Aaron immediately objected. "No." Lily rolled her eyes. "You don't even know what my argument is. You're not doing it." "Excellent rebuttal," Kareth crossed his arms. "She is the logical choice." Aaron looked at him. "I liked you less when you were a warden. Your opinion has been noted." The witness tilted its head. Human social interactions remain fascinating. In the end, Lily won. Mostly because every model indicated her connection to the dimensional language made the transition significantly safer. Also because she refused to lose the argument. That helped. The countdown began. 5, 4, 3. The chamber brightened. 2, 1. The glyphs ignited. Lily placed both hands on the central crystal. The symbols surrounding her began rotating. Faster, faster, faster. Then reality bent. Aaron felt it immediately, not visually, emotionally, like standing beside a doorway opening inside his thoughts. The air shimmered. Colors stretched. The chamber folded sideways. And Lily vanished. Every monitor went dark. Daniel swore. Several scientists swore. One Yeti child who was absolutely not supposed to be present also swore. The witness recorded all of it. Then the displays returned. The image showed Lily standing exactly where she had been. Except she wasn't. The chamber surrounding her had changed. The walls appeared translucent. The crystal structure glowed silver instead of blue. Gravity seemed lighter. Strange geometric lights drifted through the air like slow-moving fireflies. Daniel stared. "Oh!" Aaron looked at him. "Oh, what?" "Oh, that's definitely another phase layer." Lily turned slowly. She could still see the original chamber. Sort of. The people watching her appeared ghost-like. Transparent, distant, existing half a step away from reality. She raised a hand. Aaron immediately waved back. Neither could hear the other. The separation wasn't physical. It was resonant. They occupied the same location, yet different versions of it. The realization made Lily's heart race. The legends were true. The builders had never disappeared. They had stepped sideways. Then she noticed something else. Someone was watching her. Not from the chamber, from beyond it. A tall figure stood near one of the silver walls. Massive, broad-shouldered, covered in dark fur, the being watched quietly, curiously, not threatening, not hiding, simply observing. Lily froze. The figure tilted its head, exactly the way the witness often did. Then it stepped forward. Back in the primary chamber, alarms activated. Daniel frowned. What now? One display highlighted a second life form. Not Lily. Someone else. Aaron leaned closer. The outline resembled one of Lily's drawings. The same towering figures seen in dreamer visions. The same beings from the forest beyond. The same beings whispered about in myths for centuries. Sasquatch, Daniel whispered. Kareth immediately looked annoyed. That is not its species designation. You know one? No. Then I'm calling it Sasquatch. Inside the adjacent phase layer, the being approached. Lily felt strangely calm. The figure stopped several feet away. Its eyes reflected silver light. Ancient intelligence looked back at her. Then the being touched its chest. A gesture. Simple, respectful introduction. Lily understood instinctively. She touched her chest in return. The giant smiled. The witness suddenly brightened. I am detecting communication. Daniel stared at the data. How? Resonance exchange. Symbols appeared across the monitors. Not words, concepts, images, feelings. The being wasn't speaking. It was sharing meaning directly. Lily gasped. The symbols looked familiar. Very familiar. They matched her dimensional language. For months she believed she was inventing those symbols. Now she realized the truth. She had been remembering them. The giant extended one hand. A symbol appeared above its palm. Forest, home, path, friend, the meanings layered together. Lily's eyes widened. Slowly she drew one of her own symbols in the air. Bridge, learning, welcome. The giant's smile broadened. The exchange worked. Back in the primary chamber, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Humanity was witnessing its first intentional contact with a neighboring Earth civilization. Not aliens, neighbors. Then reality shook. Hard. The phase layer rippled. Silver light fractured. Daniel's face drained of color. That isn't supposed to happen. Aaron pointed at the display. What is it? Thren 4 answered immediately. Drift. The phase boundary destabilized. Lily felt the floor shift beneath her feet. The giant reacted instantly. It grabbed her arm, not aggressively, protectively, the surrounding environment distorted. Reality stretched. The chamber began sliding toward another resonant state, a deeper one, the deep strata. Daniel started typing so quickly the keyboard nearly broke. Come on, come on, come on. Aaron moved beside him. Can we pull her back? Trying. Would you prefer lying? The witness suddenly expanded. Its starlight form brightened until the entire chamber glowed. For the first time since humanity met it, the ancient intelligence acted without hesitation. Phase anchoring. Thousands of luminous symbols erupted through the room. Reality stabilized. The drift slowed, then stopped. Inside the silver chamber, Lily watched the distortion vanish. The giant released her arm. The being seemed relieved. Lily realized something important. It had understood the danger immediately, which meant drift was familiar to it. This civilization had been navigating phase layers for a very long time. The extraction sequence activated. Silver light surrounded Lily. The chamber folded. Reality realigned. Then she returned. The phase chamber erupted into applause. Scientists cheered. Pathfinders celebrated. Yeti children jumped up and down. Daniel sat down abruptly. I need a nap. You just witnessed history. Yes, I thought you'd be excited. I am. That's why I need a nap. Several hours later, the coalition gathered to review the data. The results exceeded every prediction. Humanity had successfully entered an adjacent phase layer, made contact, exchanged meaning, and survived. Mostly. Daniel insisted the mostly remained important. The most surprising discovery came from Lily. She projected the symbols she had received, the giant's language, the Pathfinder language, her dimensional language, all matched. Not perfectly, but clearly. The systems shared common roots. The room became silent. Aaron looked toward the witness. You've seen this before. The ancient intelligence nodded. Yes, how old is it? The witness paused. Longer than usual. Older than the builders. The room became still. That evening, Aaron stood outside the corridor entrance watching snow fall across the mountains. The witness appeared beside him. Neither spoke for a while. Below them, the first stars emerged. Cold, beautiful, infinite. Finally, Aaron broke the silence. The prison really was small, wasn't it? Yes. Aaron looked toward the sky. We spent generations believing it was everything. That is common. Aaron smiled. Among civilizations? The witness turned toward him. Among individuals. Aaron laughed softly. The witness seemed pleased. Later that night, Lily dreamed again. This time she stood beside the giant from the silver phase layer. They walked together through an enormous forest glowing beneath violet skies. Thousands of lights drifted between colossal trees. In the distance, other figures moved through the wilderness. Families, communities, civilization. The giant pointed toward the horizon. Lily followed its gaze. Far away, beyond the forest, something enormous shimmered beneath reality, a vast ocean of light, the quantum sea, and beyond it, something older, something waiting, something listening. When Lily awoke, she immediately opened her sketchbook. The first drawing appeared almost effortlessly, a silver forest, a giant guide, a luminous ocean, and beneath the image she wrote 4 words. They were here first. The age of exploration had taken another step forward, and somewhere beyond the hidden earth, the deep strata were beginning to stir. Chapter 6. The Silver Forest. The celebration lasted less than 24 hours. Humanity had completed its first successful sideways translation. Lily Mercer had stepped into a neighboring phase layer. She had spoken with an intelligence that should not have existed, and the giant from the Silver Forest had changed everything. Because it wasn't a monster. It wasn't a cryptid. It wasn't an alien. It was a neighbor. 3 days later, the Yeti corridor had become the busiest research facility on Earth. Scientists arrived from every continent. Dreamers filled the observation halls. Former wardens studied dimensional data beside human physicists. For the first time in history, curiosity had become humanity's most valuable resource. Aaron stood on a balcony overlooking the phase chamber. Below him, hundreds of researchers worked around the clock. Daniel joined him carrying a tablet and 3 cups of coffee. "One of these is mine." Aaron accepted a cup. "The other?" Daniel handed the second cup toward empty air. The witness materialized moments later. "You continue to offer me beverages. You keep showing up." The witness considered that. "This is fair." The giant's message had taken days to decode, not because the communication was unclear, because it contained too much meaning. Entire concepts had been embedded inside a single exchange: forest, community, memory, guardianship, passage, home. The dimensional language Lily had discovered acted less like speech and more like compressed understanding. Every symbol carried layers of emotion, history, and context. Lily stood before a projection wall reviewing the latest translations. The giant species finally had a provisional name. Not Sasquatch, not Bigfoot, not Yeti. Their own symbol translated closest to, the first walkers. The phrase sent a chill through the room. A second expedition was approved immediately. Aaron would go. Lily would go. Kareth would accompany them. Thren 4 insisted on participating remotely. Daniel insisted on not participating remotely, which meant he was coming too. "I feel this is a mistake," Daniel announced. "You say that every day." "Because reality keeps rewarding my pessimism." The transition occurred at sunrise. Silver symbols ignited across the chamber floor. Resonance harmonics aligned. The witness strengthened the anchor field. Then reality folded sideways. Again. The sensation felt familiar now, like stepping through a thought. The world shimmered. Colors stretched. The chamber disappeared. The silver forest welcomed them. Aaron immediately stopped walking. Not because of danger, because of beauty. Trees towered thousands of feet into the sky. Their trunks glowed with soft silver light. Violet leaves drifted through luminous air. Rivers of blue-white energy wound through the landscape like living constellations. Entire flocks of translucent creatures floated between branches. The forest seemed alive in ways Earth forests never had. Not merely biological, aware, connected. The air itself felt conscious. Lily smiled. "I drew this." Aaron looked around. "You drew maybe 10% of this." She laughed. That was fair. Movement appeared among the trees. Dozens of first walkers emerged silently. Each stood nearly 10 feet tall, massive, powerful, yet strangely gentle. Families, children, elders. Entire communities, not hiding, not stalking, simply living. The realization struck Aaron harder than any revelation since the fall of the prison. Humanity had spent centuries telling stories about mysterious creatures in the woods. The truth was far more interesting. There had always been people on the other side of the Vale. The elder from Lily's first encounter approached. Silver markings glowed across dark fur. Ancient eyes studied the visitors. Then the elder placed one hand against its chest. Lily returned the gesture. The dimensional symbols appeared instantly. Welcome, return, friend. The surrounding first walkers visibly relaxed. The connection had been accepted. Hours passed as the exchange deepened. Children showed Lily glowing insects that existed partially between phase states. Aaron learned that the forest itself functioned as a living navigation system. Karith spent an hour attempting to explain reptilian history to a first walker elder. The elder responded with a symbol meaning complicated. Daniel laughed for 10 straight minutes. The greatest revelation arrived during the evening gathering. The first walkers gathered around a river of light flowing through the center of the forest. Thousands of silver symbols floated above the current. The elder motioned toward the river, then toward the sky, then toward deeper layers beneath reality. Lily translated slowly. "They're talking about pathways." Aaron nodded. "The listening roads." The elder's eyes brightened. The symbol for yes appeared. The river transformed. Images formed within its surface. Not reflections. Memories. The visitors watched ancient scenes unfold. Builder-explorers, witness avatars, unknown civilizations, all traveling along luminous pathways extending through countless dimensional layers. The listening roads, the same network referenced throughout the oldest archives, only now they were seeing it from another perspective. Then the images changed. A shadow moved beneath reality itself. Enormous, graceful, older than cities, older than civilizations. The elder became solemn. Every first walker lowered their heads respectfully. Lily felt her pulse quicken. "The deep current leviathans." The elder confirmed the translation. The river brightened. A symbol emerged. Guardian. The leviathans were not predators. They were caretakers, living navigators moving through the deepest dimensional currents. Their migrations shaped entire ecosystems across the deep strata. The revelation stunned Aaron. Everything humanity labeled mysterious seemed to become more beautiful once understood. Night fell across the silver forest. The stars overhead were wrong. Not different constellations, different realities. Aaron stood beside the elder, overlooking the glowing canopy. Neither spoke. The dimensional language wasn't necessary. The forest carried meaning on its own. Finally, the elder raised one hand toward the horizon. Far beyond the silver trees, a faint golden light shimmered. The elder projected a symbol. Older. Aaron frowned. Older than what? The elder extended the meaning. Older than builders. Older than witness. Older than first walkers. Aaron felt cold spread through his chest. The architects beyond. The elder projected another symbol. Not warning, not fear. Invitation. Then came a final image. A vast ocean of light stretching beneath reality. The quantum sea. And somewhere beyond it, a city. Impossible. Beautiful. Waiting. Back on Earth, Thren 4 reviewed the transmission feed in stunned silence. The data matched ancient builder legends once dismissed as myths. The oldest civilizations had all pointed toward the same destination. Not the bridge, not the prison, not the deep strata, something beyond them. That night Lily dreamed again. She stood beside the first walker elder atop a silver cliff overlooking the quantum sea. Countless lights moved across the dimensional ocean. Expeditions, civilizations, travelers, explorers. Then the elder pointed toward the distant horizon. A shape emerged from the luminous currents. Not a leviathan. Something larger, a structure, ancient, impossible. The dream dissolved before she could see it clearly. But one symbol remained, the same symbol she had begun drawing as a child, the spiral beyond the bridge. When Lily awoke, she immediately opened her sketchbook. The drawing appeared almost effortlessly. Silver forest, first walkers, quantum sea, golden horizon, ancient city, and beneath the image she wrote 6 words. They had been waiting longer. Humanity had found its first allies beyond the prison, and somewhere beyond the silver forest, the next frontier was already calling. Chapter 7. Loch Ness Gateway. The lake began dreaming before the people did. That was how Lily described it. No one knew what she meant at first. Then the water started glowing. Loch Ness had always carried stories, mist over dark water, shapes beneath the surface. Witnesses standing on cold Scottish shores, certain they had seen something impossible moving through the depths. For generations, the world had treated those stories as folklore, a shadow, a hoax, a misidentified animal, a myth kept alive because humanity liked mysteries it did not have to solve. Then the interphase alarms activated beneath the lake, and the myth answered back. Vale arrived at the temporary Highland Research Station under a sky full of rain. The air smelled of peat, wet stone, and cold water. Low clouds dragged across the hills. The lake stretched below them like a black mirror, long and narrow, vanishing into mist at both ends. It looked ancient, waiting. Beside him, Daniel Mercer stood in a waterproof field jacket, staring at the water with the expression of a scientist trying very hard not to believe in lake monsters. "I want it stated for the record," Daniel said, "that I came here as a physicist, not as a cryptid enthusiast." Aaron glanced at him. "You're the one who said the word Nessie 6 times on the flight." 7. But several were sarcastic. Lily Mercer stepped past them, carrying her sealed sketchbook case. "She doesn't like that name." Daniel turned. "Who doesn't?" Lily looked toward the lake, the one beneath the gate. Nobody laughed, not even Daniel, because Lily had stopped guessing weeks ago. The Loch Ness anomaly had appeared 12 hours after the Silver Forest expedition returned. At first, it looked like instrument noise, a resonance spike, then a gravitational distortion, then a temperature inversion, then a phase echo. Then every sensor along the lake's eastern shoreline briefly recorded the same impossible geometry. A doorway beneath the water, not a tunnel, not a cave. A fracture in the interphase barrier. A natural gateway opening downward into a lower energy phase layer. The first stable aquatic interphase fault ever detected on Earth. Daniel had reviewed the data for 17 minutes before saying only one word. "Oh." Aaron had learned to fear Daniel's "oh." The research station had been assembled with remarkable speed. Human engineers built the surface platforms. Former Grey administrators installed resonant scanners. Yeti guides raised blue-white anchor pylons along the shore. First Walker pathfinders placed carved silver stones beneath ancient oaks overlooking the lake. Careth supervised perimeter security with the calm suspicion of someone who expected the water to declare war. Thren 4 coordinated phase diagnostics from inside a mobile command chamber overlooking the southern basin. The witness appeared last. It stood near the shoreline in its starlight form, rain passing through its body like falling stars. It watched the lake with unusual stillness. Aaron approached. "You've been quiet. I am listening. To the lake? To what the lake is touching." Aaron looked toward the dark water. "What does that mean?" The witness did not answer immediately. When it did, its voice had changed. Softer, more careful. "The water is not the gate. The water is the skin." By nightfall, the lake began to glow. Not everywhere, only in slow pulses beneath the surface. Blue at first, then green, then silver. The colors moved like breath. The rain stopped. The hills became silent. Even the wind faded. Across the command platform, researchers watched in awe as the water brightened from below. Daniel swallowed. "That is not bioluminescence." Lily opened her sketchbook with trembling hands. "I know." Aaron looked over her shoulder. The page showed the same lake. The same glow, but beneath the water, something enormous curved through a luminous current. Not a serpent, not a dinosaur, not a monster. A living shape adapted to an ocean that was not made of water. The deep current Leviathan. The image seemed to move, even though it was only charcoal and pigment. Careth came up behind them, his golden eyes narrowed. "That is a guardian." Daniel looked at him. "You're sure?" "No." That was almost reassuring. Careth studied the drawing. "But I hope it is." The first signal emerged at 3:33 a.m. naturally. The entire station woke to low harmonic vibration. Not sound. Resonance. The kind felt in bone and memory. Every dreamer on site sat upright at the same moment. Every Yeti guide turned toward the lake. Every first walker lowered their head in respect. The witness brightened, and Lily began drawing before her eyes fully opened. By the time Aaron reached the main command chamber, she had already completed 3 pages. The first showed the lake opening like an eye. The second showed a vast submerged city made of translucent arches, coral-like crystal, and flowing columns of light. The third showed a Leviathan moving above the city like a guardian whale crossing the night sky. Daniel stared at the drawings. "Please tell me this is metaphor." Lily looked at him. "It isn't right. Of course it isn't." Thren 4 enlarged the phase map on the main display. The lake's depths appeared in layered resonance bands. Below the physical lake, another shape emerged. A basin, a city, a current, a world occupying the same coordinates as Loch Ness, but one phase deeper. The interphase medium confirmed what the old legends had hidden in fragments. Something lived beneath the lake, not in the water. Behind it, the debate began immediately. No one wanted to wait. No one wanted to rush. Both instincts were reasonable. The gateway was stable, but barely. The water created additional complications. Phase transitions through liquid carried increased risk of resonance scattering, temporal drift, and partial phase lock. The interphase medium required precision even under ideal conditions. A submerged, natural fault was not ideal. Daniel made that point 12 times. Lily made a different point once. "She's waiting." The room quieted. Aaron turned toward her. "The Leviathan?" Lily nodded. "Not hunting, not hiding, waiting." Thren 4 studied the live telemetry. "The gateway is responding to observer presence." Daniel sighed. "I miss when observation only ruined small things." The witness turned. "Humor?" Despair wearing a hat. The witness considered that. "I like the hat, despite everything." Aaron smiled. The witness did too. Then the lake pulsed again. The command chamber lights flickered. A message formed across the phase display. Not typed, not transmitted, translated through Lily's symbols. "Come below the surface." They entered the lake at dawn. Not with submarines. Submarines were useless for what waited below. Instead, the team used interphase descent shells. Transparent oval craft designed to maintain coherence while passing through water, pressure, and dimensional membranes. Daniel called them eggs with delusions of grandeur. The name stuck. 3 descent shells lowered into the lake from the floating platform. Aaron and Lily occupied the first. Daniel and Thren 4 took the second. Kareth joined a Yeti guide named Varu in the third. The witness did not need a shell. It appeared outside them, standing on the surface of the water as if the lake were glass. Lily watched through the shell wall. "That still feels unfair." Aaron checked the phase anchor at his wrist. "You're jealous of a cosmic observer." "A little." The descent began. Cold black water rose around them. The surface vanished overhead. The world became green darkness. For the first 100 feet, everything looked normal. Bubbles, silt, faint shafts of morning light. Then the depth sensors stopped agreeing with reality. The shell continued descending. The physical lake bottom should have approached. It did not. Instead, the water widened. The darkness opened. Light appeared below. Daniel's voice crackled over the comm, everyone seeing the impossible ocean under Scotland. Aaron smiled despite himself. "Yes. Excellent. Shared hallucinations remain my least favorite category of data." The gateway appeared as a vertical shimmer beneath the lake. Its edges rippled like torn silk. Inside it, geometry folded inward. Colors moved in impossible directions. The interphase barrier looked exactly like the dimensional framework had predicted. A membrane under pressure, a surface between worlds, a place where resonance determined whether reality opened or destroyed you. Daniel's voice sharpened. "Phase anchors active, coherence fields stable. Nobody improvise." Lily looked at Aaron. "He says that like we improvise." Aaron raised an eyebrow. "We absolutely improvise." The witness appeared beside the shells, its starlight form distorted by the water. "The gateway is soft." Daniel paused. "Soft as in safe?" "Soft as in willing." Again, not a category. "It should be," Lily said. Daniel groaned. Then the shells crossed. The sensation was not like sinking. It was like being remembered by another world. The lake dissolved. The water became light. The shell vibrated. Aaron felt every atom in his body hum in answer to a frequency older than language. For a terrible second he saw 2 realities at once. Loch Ness above, a luminous sea below, Earth's mountains, alien currents, rain, stars beneath water. Then the transition completed. The shells emerged into the deep basin. Aaron forgot how to breathe. Below them stretched an ocean that had no surface, no sky, no bottom. Only layers of luminous current flowing through endless dark. Structures rose from the depths like coral cathedrals. Arches of translucent stone curved across impossible distances. Bioluminescent gardens drifted freely through the waterless sea. Schools of silver organisms moved through the air as if swimming through thought, and in the distance stood a city, not ruined, not abandoned, alive. Its towers glowed with soft green light. Its bridges moved slowly, rearranging themselves as currents shifted. Figures moved along the pathways, tall, slender, aquatic. Their bodies shimmered between solid and translucent states. They were not human, not Yeti, not First Walker, not Grey, not reptilian. Another neighbouring civilization, a hidden aquatic people beneath Scotland's oldest myth. Lily whispered, "They're beautiful." No one disagreed. Then the shadow passed overhead. The entire deep basin dimmed. Aaron looked up. Something enormous moved above the city, long, graceful, vast beyond scale. Its body shimmered with patterns like constellations flowing under translucent skin. Fins like luminous sails extended from its sides. Its head turned slowly. One immense eye opened. Not animal, not mindless, ancient, aware. The deep current Leviathan watched them. Daniel's comm went silent for 3 seconds. Then he whispered, "That is not a plesiosaur." Kareth's voice came low. "No." The Leviathan moved closer, every shell's instrument panel filled with warnings. Gravity distortion, phase compression, temporal drift, resonance surge. Then Lily touched the shell wall. The warnings stopped. A symbol appeared beneath her fingers. Guardian. The Leviathan's eye softened. The entire ocean brightened. The first communication from the aquatic civilization arrived through song. Not music exactly. A layered harmonic moving through water, air, crystal, and consciousness. Lily closed her eyes. Symbols formed around her hands. She translated slowly. They called themselves the Luminari. Daniel's voice was hushed. Luminari? Those who remember beneath. The name rippled through the comms. The city below brightened in response. The Luminari had heard. They knew they had been named correctly. The shells descended toward a landing platform made of living crystal. The Luminari gathered to meet them. Their faces were delicate and strange, with luminous eyes and flowing crest-like structures that moved like kelp in invisible tides. Their skin shimmered with faint patterns that changed color as emotions passed through them. Aaron stepped from the shell carefully. His boots touched a surface that felt like glass and moss at the same time. The environment held breathable air, or something close enough. Daniel emerged behind him, scanning everything with frantic delight. "This is a diplomatic zone," Daniel said. Thren 4 nodded. An engineered overlap between water, air, and phase medium. Daniel looked offended. "You could at least pretend to be surprised." "I was surprised internally. That doesn't help me." A Luminari child laughed. The sound resembled bells under rain. Daniel froze. They laughed. The witness appeared beside him. "This is a good sign." The Luminari elder approached. She was taller than the others, her body glowing with deep blue patterns that moved like tides across her skin. Lily stepped forward. The elder extended both hands. Lily mirrored the gesture. Symbols appeared between them. Lake, gate, memory, debt, warning, the final symbol sharpened. Warning. Aaron felt the shift immediately. The warmth remained, but something darker moved beneath it. The elder projected an image, the Loch Ness gateway, the deep basin, the Leviathan, then a lower current beneath the city. Black, slow, unstable, a pathway descending deeper into the interphase medium, the deep strata. Then came another image. Shapes moving along the boundary, thin, fast, jagged, predatory. Daniel's face tightened. Edge predators. The Luminari elder confirmed it. Travelers were most vulnerable during phase transition. Edge predators hunted at dimensional boundaries, detecting the resonance flare created when matter shifted between layers. Aaron looked toward Lily. "That's what the first walkers warned us about." Lily nodded. The Luminari elder projected another image. A breached gate, a broken road, a lost expedition. Builder symbols scattered across darkness. Then a phrase emerged. "The deeper road has awakened." The Leviathan moved above the city, not threatening, protecting. Its massive body curved around the outer basin like a living wall. The Luminari elder looked toward it. A new symbol appeared. Nessara. Daniel swallowed. "Nessara?" Lily smiled faintly. "That's her name." The name carried through the basin. The Leviathan answered with a low harmonic that shook the crystal beneath their feet. Not anger, recognition. Aaron felt the vibration pass through him. Nessara was not a monster, not an animal, Not a relic. She was a guardian of the submerged gateway, a navigator of dimensional currents, a living intelligence older than most human civilizations. The lake legend had been only the shadow of something far more wondrous. The peaceful exchange ended when the lower current opened. At first it appeared as a dark ribbon beneath the city. Then the ribbon widened. The luminari reacted immediately. Children were moved behind luminous barriers. Defenders took positions along the crystal bridges. Nessara turned toward the darkness. Kareth drew a phase shear blade from his belt. Aaron looked at him. "You brought that?" Kareth did not look away from the current. "I am learning optimism. I have not abandoned preparation. Fair enough." The darkness split. Something emerged halfway through the phase boundary. Long limbs, angular body. Too many joints. Its surface flickered between visible and invisible. An edge predator. Then another appeared. Then 3 more. Daniel's voice cracked across the comm. "They're using the gateway flare." The creatures moved with horrible speed, not swimming, skipping between phase states. Each movement left after-images in the air. Nessara sang. The basin shook. A wave of resonance struck the predators and drove them back, but the lower current widened again. More shapes gathered beyond it. Aaron felt fear rise. Not the old prison fear, not helplessness, a sharper kind. The fear of having something worth protecting. Lily stepped beside him. Her hands glowed with symbols. "The language can close it," Daniel snapped toward her. "What?" "The gate, the lower current. It's responding to meaning. That sentence would ruin 3 universities. We don't have time." She moved toward the edge of the platform. Aaron followed. So did the witness. So did the Luminari elder. Symbols formed around Lily. Yeti glyphs, first walker pathmarks, Luminari song patterns, human musical notation, builder spirals. The dimensional language expanded beyond anything she had created before. A true interphase grammar. Not speech, not code, relationship made navigable. The witness extended one hand. "I will help." Lily looked up. "You know how?" "No. Despite everything," she laughed. "Then follow me. I am learning." The predators lunged. Kareth met the first one at the bridge. His phase shear blade flashed. Not cutting flesh. Misaligning resonance. The creature recoiled, its body flickering wildly before vanishing back into the boundary. Thren 4 activated an anchor lock field from the shell. 2 predators froze mid-transition, half visible, trapped between states. Daniel shouted, "I hate that this works." Nessara swept above them. Her song rolled through the basin like thunder in deep water. The Luminari joined. Then the Yeti guides. Then the first walkers through the remote interphase link. Then the witness. Then Lily. The symbols became music. The music became structure. The lower current trembled. The edge predators screamed without sound. The gateway began to close. Aaron felt the pressure building. The old part of him, the architect fragment, the memory of bridge design, the version of himself that had once understood relationship as physics, awakened. He stepped beside Lily. "What do you need?" She did not look away from the symbols. "Choose connection." Aaron almost laughed. "That's very specific. It is." So he did. He thought of Earth rebuilding, of children drawing stars, of Kareth admitting regret, of Thren 4 learning responsibility, of Daniel laughing when terrified, of Lily's hand in his, of the witness asking for friends, of the Yeti guarding the white door, of the first walkers waiting in the silver forest, of the Luminari beneath the lake, of Nessara circling the gateway like an ancient promise. The symbols ignited, the lower current snapped shut. Silence crashed through the deep basin. The predators vanished. The city remained. The gateway stabilized. And for a moment, the entire underwater world glowed with impossible light. No one spoke afterward. Not at first. The Luminari elder approached Lily and touched her forehead gently. A symbol appeared. "Bridge thinger." Lily blinked back tears. "I'm not sure I deserve that." The elder smiled. The translation came softly. "Deserving is not required. Listening is." The witness stood nearby, dimmer than before, but steady. Aaron turned toward it. "You okay?" The witness considered the question. "I was afraid." Aaron nodded. "Me too." The witness looked toward the Luminari children emerging from behind the barriers. "It is different when fear has a face." "Yes. And a name." Aaron looked up as Nessara moved above them, vast and luminous. "Yes, before the expedition returned to the surface, the Luminari elder gave them one final vision. A map, Loch Ness, the Yeti Corridor, the Silver Forest, other sites appeared. Lake systems, cave networks, ancient forests, deserts, oceans, cities, all connected by hidden phase faults across Earth. Earth was not a single world. It was a shoreline, a meeting place, a planet resting at the edge of countless dimensions. Then the map expanded downward. Beneath every gateway flowed a deeper current. Beneath every current waited the deep strata, and within the deep strata moved something enormous. Not Nessara, not a predator, a whole migration, leviathans. Hundreds, thousands, traveling through the underside of reality. Lily whispered, "They're going somewhere." The Luminari elder nodded. The final symbol appeared, gathering. The return to the surface felt like waking from a dream that refused to fade. The shells rose through the gateway. The luminous basin vanished. The black water of Loch Ness returned. Rain struck the surface above them. Morning waited beyond the lake. When Aaron stepped onto the floating platform, the entire research station had gone quiet. Everyone already knew. The data had transmitted live. The world had watched the Loch Ness myth become a civilization, a guardian, a gateway, a warning. Daniel removed his helmet and sat heavily on a crate. "I will never emotionally recover from this week." Kareth sheathed his blade. "You performed adequately." Daniel looked up. "From you, that's basically a medal. It is not. I'm taking it as one." The witness appeared beside them. "I experienced fear and humor during the same event." Lily smiled. "That happens a lot." "It is exhausting." Aaron laughed. The witness smiled, then looked toward the lake. Its smile faded, but not into sadness. Into resolve. That night, the world dreamed of water. Not drowning, not fear. Depth. Children drew luminous cities beneath lakes. Artists painted leviathans swimming through dimensional currents. Scientists woke with equations describing aquatic phase stabilization. Old stories were retold with gentler voices. Nessie was no longer a joke, nor a monster, nor a mystery to be captured. She was Nessara, guardian of the Loch Ness Gateway, and she had shown humanity the way down. Aaron dreamed of the deep basin again. He stood on the crystal platform beneath the lake. Lyris waited beside him. Nessara moved overhead like a living constellation. "You see it now," Lyris said. Aaron looked toward the lower current where the predators had emerged. "The frontier is alive. Yes, and dangerous, yes, and worth it," Lyris smiled. "That is the beginning of wisdom." The dream shifted. The basin opened beneath him. The deep strata spread below like an endless night filled with currents, cities, forests, and sleeping giants. Far below, the leviathans migrated toward a distant light. Aaron felt the invitation again, not from one civilization, from the structure of reality itself. Come deeper, learn, remember, return. Aaron awoke before dawn. A message waited on his tablet. From Luminari Gateway Authority. Translation, Lily Mercer Dimensional Language System. Deep strata descent window opening in 6 days. Nessara's resonant signature pulsed beneath the message. Below it, Daniel had added a note. "I strongly recommend we do not go." A second note followed. "Obviously, we are going." Aaron smiled. Outside, rain softened over the highland hills. The lake lay dark and silent beneath the morning mist, but now he knew better. The silence was only the surface. Beneath it, a city glowed, a guardian waited, a road descended, and somewhere far below Earth, the deep strata had begun calling humanity by name. Chapter 8. The Deep Strata Descent. 6 days passed faster than anyone expected. The world could not stop talking about Loch Ness. News networks debated the Luminari. Scientists argued over dimensional oceanography. Children filled classrooms with drawings of Nessara, and every night millions dreamed of the deep basin beneath Scotland. But Aaron could think only about the message waiting inside his tablet. Deep strata descent window opening in 6 days. Now the countdown had reached 0. And the road beneath reality was opening. Rain drifted across the Highland Hills as dawn illuminated Loch Ness. The lake appeared calm, ordinary, peaceful. Aaron knew better now. Beneath the dark surface waited an entire civilization. Beneath that civilization flowed the deep strata, and somewhere far below those currents, the migrating leviathans continued moving toward an unknown destination. The thought both thrilled and unsettled him. A familiar voice interrupted. "You're staring dramatically at water again." Aaron turned. Daniel stood behind him holding 2 cups of coffee. "One of these days," Aaron said, accepting the cup, "something is going to emerge from a dimensional gateway behind you while you're making jokes." Daniel considered that. Statistically speaking, that feels inevitable. The expedition briefing began an hour later. Representatives from every allied civilization attended. Humans, Luminari, Yeti Pathfinders, First Walkers, former Grey administrators, even the Witness. A holographic map floated above the command table. The deep basin glowed beneath Loch Ness. Below it stretched layers of descending pathways. Dimensional currents, resonance rivers, submerged gateways. The deeper levels resembled roots spreading beneath reality itself. Thren-4 highlighted the lowest accessible region. "This is our destination." The map brightened. A vast chamber appeared beneath the deep basin. Not a city, not a settlement, a crossroads. Builder records identify this location as Strata Junction 7. Daniel frowned. "There were 6 previous junctions?" "Yes." "Do we know where they are?" "No." "Fantastic." Lily studied the projection carefully. Something felt familiar, too familiar. The map resembled a sketch she had drawn 3 months earlier. Without understanding why, she opened her sketchbook. The image matched. Every curve, every current, every pathway. Aaron noticed immediately. "You've seen this before." Lily nodded slowly. "In dreams." The room became quiet, because that answer was no longer surprising. The Witness approached the projection. Its starlight form flickered softly. "The junction is important." Kareth folded his arms. "How important?" The Witness remained silent for several seconds. "Then, the Leviathans are converging there." Nobody spoke, because everyone understood the implication. Nessara was not unique. There were many, perhaps thousands, and they were gathering. The descent began shortly after noon. This time the Luminari joined them. Their elder assigned 3 navigators to guide the expedition through the lower currents. The lead navigator introduced herself as Solari. Her luminous skin carried shifting patterns of green and silver light. When she spoke, her voice sounded like distant music carried across water. "The deep strata listens." Daniel blinked. "That sentence concerns me." Solari smiled. "It concerns everyone." The descent shells crossed the Loch Ness gateway once more. The transition felt smoother now, almost welcoming. The deep basin unfolded around them in breathtaking beauty. Crystal towers, luminous currents, floating gardens. The city of the Luminari shimmered beneath endless layers of glowing, waterless sea. Nessara circled overhead. The guardian Leviathan sang a low, harmonic greeting as the expedition passed. The sound rolled through the basin like living thunder. Lily smiled. "She knows we're leaving." The Luminari elder nodded. "She also knows where you are going." The smile faded. "That's less comforting." Beyond the city, the deep strata opened. The transition felt entirely different from crossing into the deep basin. Not upward, not downward, inward. Reality thickened around them. The dimensional medium became denser. The colors changed. Silver currents turned deep sapphire, then violet, then black threaded with luminous gold. Aaron watched the instruments. Nothing behaved normally. Distance stretched, compressed, repeated. Entire regions appeared larger on the inside than the outside. Daniel stared at the readings. "I have officially stopped pretending physics is in charge." Hours passed. Or perhaps minutes. Time itself felt uncertain. The shells traveled through rivers of light, winding beneath dimensional layers. Gigantic organisms drifted through the currents. Some resembled translucent whales. Others looked like living constellations. One appeared to be composed entirely of floating symbols. No one could explain it, not even the Witness. Then the current widened. The shells emerged into a chamber larger than cities. Everyone fell silent. Strata Junction 7. The place looked impossible. Thousands of dimensional pathways converged into a vast luminous nexus suspended within darkness. Each pathway glowed a different color. Each carried different resonance signatures. Entire civilizations could have traveled through the junction simultaneously without meeting. Aaron stared in awe. "It's a transportation hub." "No," Solari said softly. "What?" The Luminari navigator looked toward the glowing pathways. "It is a conversation." Lily felt the meaning immediately. The dimensional language stirred inside her mind. Symbols appeared around the junction. Not words. Relationships. The pathways were not connecting locations. They were connecting choices. Every route represented civilizations learning from one another. The realization hit her like lightning. The deep strata was not infrastructure. It was memory made navigable. The witness suddenly became motionless. Aaron noticed first. What is it? The ancient observer looked toward the far edge of the junction. They are here. A chill spread through the chamber. Who? Aaron asked. The witness answered quietly. The Leviathans. The darkness beyond the nexus brightened. One shape emerged, then another, then dozens, then hundreds, Leviathans vast beyond imagination. Some resembled Nasara, others carried radically different forms. Winged, ribbon-like, crystal-bodied, oceanic, stellar, yet all shared the same feeling. Age, wisdom, purpose. The migration had arrived. The largest Leviathan drifted toward the junction. Its body stretched across kilometers of dimensional space. Stars appeared beneath translucent skin. Entire currents bent around its presence. The expedition instruments immediately failed. Every screen filled with resonance overload warnings. Then all warnings disappeared, replaced by a single symbol. Welcome, Lily gasped. The Leviathan was communicating, not through language, meaning. The same way the dimensional symbols functioned. The giant being was saying hello. Daniel looked at the display. Did a cosmic whale just greet us? Yes, Aaron said. Okay, just checking. The Leviathan continued forward. The deep strata brightened around it. The pathways of Junction 7 began illuminating one by one. Thousands of roads awakening simultaneously. The witness stepped forward. For the first time since Aaron had met it, the ancient observer seemed emotional. Not afraid. Moved. The gathering has begun. Aaron looked toward it. What gathering? The witness answered softly. A meeting that has not occurred for longer than humanity has existed. Then the junction opened. Not physically, conceptually. The expedition suddenly perceived something beyond the crossroads. A deeper layer. A greater sea. A vast realm hidden beneath the deep strata itself. The sight lasted only seconds, but it changed everything. Aaron saw civilizations. Countless civilizations, older than the builders, older than the prison, older than the witness, waiting beyond the horizon. The vision vanished. The junction returned. Silence filled the shells. Nobody spoke. Nobody could. Finally, Daniel cleared his throat. Well? Aaron looked at him. That's all you have? Daniel nodded. Yes. A pause, then, well? Laughter broke the tension. Even Kareth smiled slightly. The witness watched them, curious, learning, perhaps amused. Then another symbol appeared across every display, not generated by the expedition, not generated by the Leviathans. It came from somewhere deeper, older, unknown. The symbol glowed softly, and beneath it appeared a message. The listening ocean awaits. The junction darkened. The Leviathans continued gathering, and somewhere beyond the deep strata, a greater frontier had begun calling humanity forward once again. Chapter 9. The Listening Ocean. The message remained on every screen. The listening ocean awaits. No one spoke, not Aaron, not Lily, not Daniel, not Kareth, not even the witness, because something about the message felt different from everything that had come before. The prison had hidden truths. The bridge had restored connection. The deep strata had revealed hidden civilizations. But this message felt like an invitation, and invitations implied hosts. Strata Junction 7 continued glowing around them. Thousands of dimensional pathways intersected within the vast crossroads. The Leviathans remained gathered. Hundreds of immense beings drifted through the luminous currents. Their presence transformed the junction into something that felt less like infrastructure and more like ceremony. Aaron stared at them. Are they waiting? Solari, the Luminari navigator, watched the gathering carefully. Yes. For what? The answer came from the witness. For us. The silence that followed felt enormous. Aaron looked toward the ancient observer. You knew this was coming. The witness considered the question. No. Then how do you know they're waiting for us? The ancient intelligence turned toward the Leviathans. Because they are looking at TU. Aaron suddenly realized the witness was right. Not one Leviathan was watching the junction. Not one was watching the pathways. They were watching the expedition, watching humanity, watching Lily, watching the witness, watching the newest arrivals to a gathering older than recorded history. The largest Leviathan moved forward. Stars shimmered beneath its translucent skin. Entire rivers of dimensional light curved around its body. Lily felt the communication before it arrived. Not words, meaning, welcome, curiosity, recognition. The sensation flowed through every member of the expedition simultaneously. Daniel blinked. Okay? Aaron smiled. Okay, what? A cosmic leviathan just welcomed us to a meeting. Fair point. The pathways of Strata Junction 7 brightened, one by one, then dozens at a time, then hundreds. The entire crossroads awakened. Aaron expected navigation data, coordinates, destinations. Instead, symbols appeared, relationships, memories, stories. The pathways weren't roads, they were histories. Every current represented civilizations meeting one another, helping one another, learning from one another. The deep strata itself appeared to remember connection. Lily suddenly gasped. New symbols were appearing, symbols no one else could fully interpret, yet she understood them instinctively, not because she translated them, because she felt them. Her sketchbook opened automatically. Pencils lifted from the table. Lines began moving across the page. Aaron stared. Are you doing that? No. The answer wasn't reassuring. The drawing completed itself. A vast ocean, not water, consciousness, meaning, memory. The ocean stretched beyond dimensional space, beyond the deep strata, beyond the junction, beyond the known network. At the center floated a symbol, a spiral nested within countless spirals. Older than the builders, older than the witness, older than the prison. Solari looked at the drawing and immediately stepped backward. The Luminari navigator appeared genuinely shocked. Aaron had never seen that expression from her before. What is it? Solari answered quietly. The first symbol. The witness became motionless. Aaron noticed immediately. You recognize it. A long pause followed. Then, I have seen it only once. The admission chilled everyone, because the witness had observed civilizations for billions of years. Yet even it possessed only a single memory of the symbol. The largest Leviathan moved closer. Its dimensional resonance filled the junction. New images flooded everyone's minds. Ancient civilizations, worlds connected through curiosity, explorers sharing discoveries, children teaching one another, artists exchanging impossible visions, scientists building upon ideas from distant galaxies. The images felt familiar, not because humanity had lived them, because humanity wanted them. Aaron suddenly understood. The listening ocean wasn't a place, not entirely. It was a process, a civilization, a network, a philosophy, an ecosystem built around connection rather than control. The opposite of the prison. The realization struck the witness simultaneously. For the first time, the ancient observer appeared emotional. Not curious, not analytical, moved. The builders were searching for this. Kareth frowned. The listening ocean? Yes. The witness watched the gathering leviathans. They did not build the bridge to connect worlds. Aaron felt a chill. What did they build it for? The witness answered softly. To find this place. The entire junction brightened. The dimensional currents accelerated. The leviathans began singing. Not with sound, with resonance. Thousands of pathways harmonized together. The deep strata responded. The currents responded. Even the expedition's instruments responded. Every display showed the same phenomenon, synchronization. Daniel stared at the readings. I don't think this is a gathering. Aaron looked over. What is it? Daniel enlarged the data. The dimensional pathways were aligning. Millions of resonance signatures were converging. The leviathans, the junction, the deep strata, the expedition, everything. Daniel swallowed. It's a conversation. The moment the words left his mouth, the currents opened. Not physically, conceptually. The junction suddenly became transparent. Beyond it stretched a greater reality, the listening ocean. Everyone saw it. An endless sea composed of memory, meaning, imagination, and consciousness. Civilizations moved through it like islands drifting upon luminous currents. Some existed as biological cultures. Others appeared as living mathematics. Others resembled music woven into physical form. The scale defied comprehension. Lily felt tears forming, not from sadness. Wonder. The listening ocean wasn't organized around power, or ownership, or hierarchy. It was organized around learning. The more civilizations shared, the larger the ocean became. The more they connected, the stronger it grew. The witness watched silently. Aaron realized something extraordinary. The oldest observer in existence was seeing this for the first time. Its billions of years of exploration had only reached the shoreline. Just like humanity, then another presence emerged. Vast, ancient, gentle. The entire listening ocean brightened around it. The leviathans lowered themselves respectfully. The pathways glowed. Even the witness seemed humbled. Aaron felt the being's attention settle upon them, not threatening, welcoming. A voice filled the junction. Not spoken, felt. Welcome, children of the third door. The words echoed through the deep strata, through the currents, through the listening ocean itself. Aaron looked toward Lily. She was already drawing again. This time the image showed distant structures rising from the far side of the ocean. Impossible structures, ancient structures, architectures unlike anything seen before. The sight triggered something inside the witness. A memory, ancient, forgotten, important. The witness whispered, "The architects beyond." Silence followed, because everyone knew that name, the mystery hidden behind the oldest archives, the civilization beyond the builders, beyond the bridge, beyond the witness itself. The great presence within the listening ocean remained silent, yet its meaning became clear. The architects beyond were real. And somewhere across the infinite currents of the listening ocean, they were waiting. Chapter 10. The Architects Beyond. The words lingered long after the vision faded. The Architects Beyond. Aaron Vale stood motionless at the center of Strata Junction 7. Around him the listening ocean shimmered through the opened currents. The leviathans remained gathered. The pathways continued glowing. The great presence beyond the ocean watched silently. And, for the first time since the fall of the Lunar Relay, Aaron felt something larger than revelation. Anticipation. No one spoke for several minutes. Not because they lacked questions. Because there were too many. The builders, the witness, the bridge, the prison, the harvest, everything humanity had spent years uncovering suddenly felt like the beginning of a much larger story. Daniel finally broke the silence. "So let me make sure I understand this." Aaron smiled faintly. "Good luck." Daniel pointed toward Lily's drawing. "The builders were explorers." "Yes." "The witness is older than the builders." "Apparently. Yet both of them were following traces left by someone else." The witness answered before Aaron could. "Correct?" Nobody looked comforted. The listening ocean brightened. The distant presence moved closer. Not physically, conceptually. Reality itself seemed to adjust around its awareness. Aaron felt an overwhelming sense of scale, not size. Perspective. The being viewed entire civilizations the way humans viewed individual lives, not with indifference, with affection. Images began flowing through the junction. Ancient worlds, impossible ages, civilizations rising long before the builders, not empires, not kingdoms, communities, networks, explorers, travelers, storytellers, dreamers. The images carried a common theme, connection. Lily sketched furiously. Her pencil raced across page after page, spirals, currents, living pathways. Then something new emerged. Structures, immense structures. They resembled bridges woven from starlight and memory. Entire galaxies appeared connected through luminous threads. Aaron stared. "Those aren't builder structures," the witness replied softly. "No." "Have you seen them before?" A long pause followed. "Only in fragments." The answer stunned everyone. Because the witness rarely admitted uncertainty. Now uncertainty surrounded everything. Solari stepped toward the projection. The Luminari navigator examined the structures carefully. Then her expression changed. Recognition. "You have legends about them?" Aaron asked. Solari nodded slowly. "Every civilization does." The room became silent. "Different names." She pointed toward the luminous bridges. "Different stories." The structures brightened. "But always the same memory." "What memory?" Lily asked. Solari looked toward the listening ocean. "That someone taught the first civilizations how to find one another." The great presence responded immediately. Warmth flowed through the junction. Approval, recognition, agreement. The sensation felt like a smile. Careth folded his arms. "The prison taught isolation." The old warden watched the images carefully. "The builders taught connection." Aaron nodded. "And the architects?" The presence answered. Not with words, meaning. The translation unfolded gradually inside their minds. The architects taught exploration. The realization settled over the group. Exploration, not conquest, not ownership, not control, discovery, curiosity, growth. The same values humanity had been rediscovering since the prison collapsed. The listening ocean shifted. New regions became visible. Aaron felt his breath catch. The ocean extended vastly farther than before. Civilizations drifted through luminous currents. Living mathematics. conscious ecosystems, resonant cultures woven from music, entire realities organized around ideas humanity barely understood. The scale was breathtaking. Daniel stared at the unfolding map. "This can't be everything." The presence responded instantly. "No!" The answer carried amusement. The map expanded again. Gasps echoed throughout the chamber. The visible regions represented only a small fraction of the listening ocean. Aaron suddenly understood why the builders never found the end. There wasn't one. The witness appeared thoughtful, a strange expression for an intelligence billions of years old. Aaron noticed immediately. "What are you thinking?" The ancient observer turned toward him. "For most of my existence," it paused, "I believed observation was enough." Nobody interrupted. "Now I am uncertain." Lily smiled. The witness looked confused. "Why are you smiling?" The question surprised everyone, including the witness. Lily answered gently, "Because that's what learning feels like." For a moment, the oldest observer in existence seemed genuinely fascinated by the answer. The great presence brightened. New images appeared, the architects beyond. Not clearly, not directly, only glimpses. Travelers moving between realities, guides helping young civilizations connect, explorers crossing frontiers no one else could see. Their technology seemed inseparable from consciousness itself. Not machines, relationships. Aaron felt a memory stirring. Not from his architect life. Something deeper. A feeling. The sense that every civilization eventually reached this point. The moment when survival gave way to exploration. When fear gave way to curiosity. When isolation gave way to connection. The listening ocean resonated. Millions of pathways harmonized together. The leviathans joined the song. The currents brightened. The junction glowed. Across the ocean, civilizations responded. Not because they were summoned. Because they were listening. Daniel watched the synchronization data pouring across his displays. "It's happening again." Aaron looked over. "What is?" "The same thing that happened when humanity awakened." The pathways brightened. "The network is growing." But this network wasn't the bridge. It wasn't builder technology. It wasn't infrastructure. It was relationship. The more civilizations connected, the larger the listening ocean became. The presence focused on Aaron, then Lily, then the witness. A final message flowed through the junction, not spoken, felt. The third door was never the destination. It was the invitation. The words echoed through every current, every pathway, every civilization. Aaron felt something shift inside him. For years he had fought to escape the prison, then fought to restore the bridge. Now he finally understood. Freedom wasn't the ending. Connection wasn't the ending. Even awakening wasn't the ending. They were beginnings. Lily's pencil stopped moving. The final drawing lay before her. Aaron stared at it. The listening ocean, the leviathans, the junction, the distant spiral, and beyond everything else. A horizon, not an ending, a frontier. The witness studied the image. For the first time, genuine wonder crossed its ancient features. What lies beyond that? The question surprised everyone, because it came from the witness, the oldest explorer in existence. The presence answered gently, the same way it had answered every civilization before. More. The listening ocean brightened. The pathways opened wider. The currents flowed onward, and somewhere beyond the horizon of every known map, every known civilization, and every known question, the architects beyond waited, not as rulers, not as gods, but as explorers. Chapter 11. Leviathans of the Current. The first Leviathan song lasted 7 minutes. No one interrupted it. No one dared. Inside Strata Junction 7, every instrument fell silent as the vast beings gathered within the luminous currents. Hundreds of deep-current leviathans drifted through the underside of reality, their immense bodies moving with a grace that made size meaningless. Some were long and translucent, filled with star-like organs that shimmered beneath their skin. Others moved like ribbons of living crystal, folding through dimensional layers without disturbing them. A few resembled oceans given shape, their bodies carrying storms, constellations, and slow lightning under transparent surfaces. They were not animals. That became clear almost immediately. They were not ships, not machines, not guardians in the simple way the Luminari had first described Asara. They were something older, living navigators of the interface medium, beings whose consciousness moved through currents that most civilizations could not even perceive. Aaron Vale stood on the observation platform of the descent shell. One hand braced against the transparent wall. His breath caught somewhere between awe and fear. The leviathans were singing, not with sound, with resonance. The song moved through the deep strata like dawn entering a cave. It touched the Luminari city beneath Loch Ness. It touched the Yeti corridor beneath the Himalayas. It touched the silver forest of the first walkers. It touched the restored bridge, and impossibly it touched Earth. Across the surface world, dreamers woke with tears on their faces. Children reached for pencils. Musicians heard harmonies they could not name. Scientists stared at instruments that recorded no signal but displayed perfect synchronization. The Leviathan song was not being transmitted. It was being remembered. Daniel Mercer had both hands over his console, eyes wide, hair in complete rebellion. "That is not a whale song," he said. Nobody had suggested that it was. He said it anyway. Thren 4 stood beside him, pale fingers moving across a grey resonance interface. "No, it is a phase-stabilizing harmonic." Daniel looked at him. "Please do not make this sound less miraculous. I was attempting precision. Precision is sometimes rude." The witness stood near the center of the chamber, its starlight form unusually dim. Aaron noticed. The oldest observer in known existence had watched the first civilizations awaken. It had witnessed empires rise, collapse, rebuild, and vanish. It had observed the builders, the prison, the harvest, the bridge, and humanity's return to choice. Yet now, before the Leviathans, it seemed almost young. Lily Mercer saw it too. She moved beside the witness quietly, sketchbook pressed to her chest. "You've heard this before," she said. The witness did not answer immediately. The song continued flowing through them. Finally, it spoke. Once, the single word changed the air. Aaron turned. "When?" The witness looked toward the nearest Leviathan, a vast creature whose body reflected entire histories in drifting patterns beneath its skin. "Before I became what I am." Nobody moved. Even Daniel stopped typing. Lily's voice softened. "You had it before." The witness seemed to consider the question with unusual care. "I believe so." The Leviathan song deepened. Images began forming inside the current, not projections, memories. The deep strata opened around them. The expedition saw the ocean as the Leviathans perceived it. Reality was not layered like a stack of separate worlds. It was alive with pressure, movement, migration, and exchange. Phase states flowed through one another like warm and cold water. Civilizations created currents when they connected. Grief left shadows. Wonder created light. Acts of courage produced stable pathways. Love, compassion, and shared meaning formed the strongest currents of all. Aaron felt the truth strike him with unexpected force. Book 2 had revealed that Lush was never meant to be fuel. It had been evidence. Evidence that consciousness became greater through relationship. Now Book 3 was revealing the next truth. That evidence had weight, direction, motion. Meaning did not merely exist. It moved. It shaped the ocean. It made pathways. The Leviathans followed those pathways, or perhaps protected them, or perhaps were born from them. Lily opened her sketchbook. Her pencil began moving before she consciously chose to draw. A spiral, a current, a Leviathan swimming through the memories of civilizations. Beneath it, she wrote a sentence without understanding where it came from. "They carry what we create to places we cannot yet reach." Solari, the Luminari navigator, read the sentence over Lily's shoulder. Her luminous skin shifted from green to deep blue. "That is close to what my people believe." Aaron looked toward her. "What do the Luminari believe?" Solari watched Nisara circling the outer edge of the gathering. "We believe the Leviathans do not belong to any one world. They come when a civilization creates enough meaning to join the deeper currents." Daniel frowned. "Creates enough meaning?" Solari nodded. "Not power, not technology, not expansion." She looked toward the gathered Leviathans. "Depth." The word settled heavily. "Depth." That was what the prison had never understood. The prison had measured emotional output. The harvesters had optimized fear because fear was easy to provoke and easy to root. But fear was shallow. It burned hot, then collapsed. Connection endured. Wonder expanded. Compassion deepened. The Leviathans had never answered the prison because the prison had nothing worth answering. Karith stood alone near the rear of the chamber. Aaron found him there after the first movement of the song ended. The old warden's golden eyes remained fixed on the currents. "You're quiet," Aaron said. Kareth did not look away. "I am calculating how many centuries my people spent hunting shadows of the wrong truth." Aaron said nothing. Kareth's jaw tightened. The dynasties wanted control of the currents. They wanted access. They wanted leverage over the hidden pathways. And? The former warden exhaled slowly. "The currents cannot be owned." Aaron looked toward the Leviathans. "No." Kareth's voice lowered. "They can only be joined." That was not an easy admission for him. Aaron understood enough of Kareth now to know that every truth cost him something. Not because he resisted truth, but because accepting it required burying another piece of the warden he had once been. "You're still here," Aaron said. Kareth finally looked at him. "What does that mean?" "It means you chose to learn." The old reptilian warrior stared at him for a long moment, then gave the smallest nod. For Kareth, it was nearly an embrace. The second movement of the Leviathan song began at 3:33. Daniel noticed the time and groaned. "Of course." The witness turned toward him. "You dislike pattern?" "I dislike being mocked by chronology. Time has a sense of humor." Daniel pointed at the witness. "That was actually good." The witness brightened faintly. "I am improving." Lily laughed. The sound carried through the chamber. To everyone's surprise, the nearest Leviathan responded. A warm pulse moved through the current, gentle and amused. Every display lit with a translated emotional concept. Joy recognized. The room became still. Daniel slowly looked from the display to Lily. "Did a Leviathan just appreciate your laugh?" Lily blinked. "I think so." The witness studied the data. Joy stabilized the local current. Daniel opened his mouth, closed it, then whispered, "I hate that this is measurable." Aaron smiled. "No, you don't." Daniel sighed. "No, I really don't." The second movement revealed the migration. The Leviathans had not gathered randomly. They were following a convergence that occurred only when a young civilization crossed a threshold. A prison world had awakened. A bridge had returned. An old observer had chosen participation over distance. A new dimensional language had emerged from art. Cryptid neighbors once dismissed as myth had opened their doors. A submerged civilization had sung through the dark, and humanity, wounded but curious, had stepped into the deep strata not to conquer, extract, or own. To learn. That combination had created a current, a first current, a newborn pathway flowing from Earth into the listening ocean. The Leviathans had come to witness its birth. Lily drew the pathway as it formed. It emerged from Earth like a luminous river, not from one location, from many: the Yeti Corridor, the Silver Forest, Loch Ness, the Silent Archive, dreamer communities, children's drawings, songs sent through the bridge, former enemies sharing meals, scientists admitting wonder. The pathway was made of moments. Small choices, shared meanings, the kind of things no empire could measure correctly. Aaron stared at the drawing. "That's us?" Solari nodded. "That is what your world is becoming." Daniel looked over. "A road?" "No," Lily said softly. "A current." The witness stepped closer to the image. Its expression changed. Aaron could not name the emotion at first. Then he realized. Longing. The witness was looking at the current the way a person looks at a doorway home after being away too long. "You remember them," Aaron said. The witness did not deny it. "Fragments. The architects?" "No." The answer surprised him. The witness looked beyond the Leviathans, beyond the junction, beyond the visible ocean. Before the architects. Nobody spoke. Lily lowered her pencil. Daniel whispered, "There's a before the architects." The witness replied quietly, "There is always a before." The deep strata dimmed. Not from danger, from depth. A region beyond the Leviathan gathering became visible. At first it looked like darkness. Then the darkness filled with tiny lights. Millions of them. Each one a consciousness. Each one a story. Each one a civilization's memory of connection. The lights swirled slowly, forming an immense shape. Not a city. Not a machine. A living archive. Solari fell to one knee. The Luminari navigators did the same. The Yeti guides bowed. The first Walker representatives lowered their heads. Even Kareth bent slightly. Aaron felt the pressure of reverence move through the chamber. "What is it?" he asked. Solari answered in a whisper. "The memory reef." The memory reef floated beyond Strata Junction 7 like a coral continent made of living recollection. It was beautiful beyond language. Every luminous branch contained preserved exchanges between civilizations. First greetings, final farewells, songs, scientific discoveries, apologies. Stories told by parents to children beneath alien skies. Promises kept across impossible distances. The reef was not a library in the human sense. It was not storage. It was relationship preserved in form. The Leviathans circled it with ceremonial patience. Aaron understood why. If the listening ocean carried connection, the memory reef remembered where connection had changed the course of existence. Lily whispered, "Can we go there?" The answer came before anyone else could speak. Not from Solari, not from the witness, from Nasara. The Loch Ness Leviathan drifted closer, her immense eye filling the observation window. A harmonic moved through the ship. Not yet. Lily placed a hand against the glass. Why? Nasara's meaning flowed into the chamber. You must first learn to hear without taking. The sentence quieted everyone. Daniel lowered his tablet. Kareth closed his eyes. Threnfor bowed his head. Aaron felt the warning beneath the beauty. The old civilizations had often mistaken discovery for possession. The prison had been born from that mistake. Humanity could not repeat it. Not here. Not at the edge of a living archive made from the most sacred memories of countless worlds. The witness moved closer to Nasara. For a moment, the ancient observer and the Leviathan faced each other across the transparent wall. No words passed between them. But the chamber filled with quiet pressure. Aaron felt a conversation happening beyond language. When it ended, the witness dimmed. Lily stepped toward it. What did she say? The witness remained still, then answered. She said, "I have been listening from too far away." No one spoke. The witness looked toward the memory reef. I believed distance made me fair. Aaron felt the ache in the words. And now? The witness turned toward the gathered expedition. Distance also made me lonely. The admission moved through the chamber like a fragile flame. Lily reached out, not touching the witness exactly. No one knew if it could be touched, but she placed her hand near its starlight arm. The witness looked down at the gesture. Then, carefully, as though learning a law of reality no archive had preserved, it moved its hand near hers. Light warmed the space between them. I do not like lonely, the witness said. Daniel's voice softened. None of us do. The third movement of the Leviathan song began. This time the expedition heard individual voices inside it. Not words. Presences. Nasara, the luminary guardian, the great ribbon Leviathan from the far current, a crystalline being older than several stars, a dark blue Leviathan who carried the memory of a civilization that had chosen silence for 1,000 years, until a child invented music again. Each Leviathan was a living history. Each had carried currents through ages of collapse and renewal. They did not guide civilizations by commanding them. They guided by remembering what civilizations became when they chose connection. Then the largest Leviathan emerged. It had remained in the far darkness until now. Its body dwarfed all the others. Within its translucent form, entire constellations rotated. The currents bent around it like rivers around a mountain. It approached the junction slowly. The song lowered. Every being present became silent. The luminary named it in a whisper, or tried to. The human translation struggled. First carrier, oldest current, memory before roads. Lily's symbols formed a simpler name. Aurelon, the great Leviathan, opened one eye. The whole chamber filled with gold. Aurelon's communication arrived as a vision. Aaron found himself standing on the shore of the quantum sea. Not dreaming, not exactly. The place felt more real than waking. Lily stood beside him. Daniel appeared a moment later, muttering something about unauthorized consciousness relocation. Kareth arrived with his hand already near his weapon. Threnfor looked around in astonished silence. The witness appeared last. For once it looked afraid. Before them the quantum sea stretched forever. Behind them stood Earth, not as a planet, but as a glowing constellation of choices. The first current flowed outward from it. Young, fragile, beautiful. Aurelon's voice emerged through the sea. Children of the third door. The words carried no condescension, only affection. Your current has formed. Aaron looked toward the luminous river extending from Earth. What does that mean? Aurelon answered. Your world can now be found. The sentence struck like thunder. Daniel whispered, "Found by whom?" The sea brightened. Distant lights appeared across the horizon. Civilizations, explorers, listeners, friends not yet met, and, farther away, shapes too vast to understand. The architects beyond were not visible, but their absence had weight. Orelon continued. To be found is a gift. To be found is also responsibility. Aaron understood. Earth had been hidden by the prison, isolated, contained. Now its current had formed. Now it could join the ocean. Now others could reach it. And not all contact would be simple. Not all discovery would be safe. But neither was isolation. Isolation had been the prison's first weapon. Connection would be humanity's first answer. The vision shifted. Orelon showed them possible futures, not prophecies. Currents. Humanity rushing forward too quickly and tearing pathways open by force. Humanity retreating in fear and letting the current weaken. Humanity trying to control the ocean and repeating the prison's first sin. Then another path. Slower, braver, shared. Humanity traveling with neighbors. Yeti keepers. First walker pathfinders. Luminary navigators. Former wardens learning humility. Former grey administrators learning responsibility. The witness learning friendship. Lily drawing the language that allowed them to listen. Aaron choosing not to lead by command, but by trust. That path shone brightest. Not safest. Brightest. Orelon's meaning settled over them. The current does not require perfection, it requires honest return. Aaron awoke from the vision with tears on his face. So did Lily. Daniel removed his glasses and wiped them with a hand that shook slightly. Kareth stood very still. Thren 4 bowed his head. The witness stared at the place where Orelon drifted beyond the glass. Its starlight form trembled. Aaron stepped beside it. "You all right?" The witness did not answer immediately. "Then, I think I have been invited." Aaron smiled. "To where?" The witness looked toward the memory reef, then toward the first current flowing from Earth, then toward the far horizon beyond every known map. Home. The Leviathan gathering ended at dawn. Dawn was a strange concept in the deep strata, where no sun rose and no sky changed color, yet everyone felt it. A brightening, a completion, a beginning. The Leviathans turned one by one toward deeper currents. Nisara remained closest. Her song wrapped gently around the expedition. Lily translated the farewell. "We will meet you where your courage becomes kindness." Daniel blinked several times. "I'm going to need that written down." Lily smiled through tears. "It already is." She held up the sketchbook. The sentence glowed faintly on the page. As the expedition prepared to return through the Loch Ness gateway, Aaron looked one final time toward the memory reef. It waited beyond the junction. Untouched, unentered, not forbidden, not withheld, simply not yet. That mattered. For the first time in his life, Aaron did not feel the need to force the next door open. The prison had taught urgency. The bridge had taught connection. The quantum sea was teaching patience. The return journey was quiet. No one wanted to break the spell of what they had witnessed. When the descent shells rose through the gateway beneath Loch Ness and emerged into the dark Scottish water, morning rain greeted them. Ordinary rain, ordinary hills, ordinary earth. But nothing felt ordinary anymore. The world had a current now, a fragile, luminous path extending into the listening ocean, a way to be found, a way to return, a way to begin again. That night across Earth, people dreamed of Leviathans. Not monsters, not omens, guides. Children drew vast, luminous beings swimming beneath stars. Musicians composed songs without knowing why the melodies made strangers cry. Scientists woke with equations describing resonance pathways created by collective emotional coherence. Communities gathered beneath open skies, not because anyone told them to, but because being together felt suddenly important. The first current strengthened. Quietly, gently, by choice. At the silent archive, hours after the expedition returned, Aaron found the witness standing alone beneath the observation dome. The moon hung beyond the glass. Silent, empty, only a moon. The witness watched it for a long time. The prison made Earth difficult to find, it said. Aaron stood beside it. "Yes, I thought that was tragedy. It was—" The witness turned toward him. "Now I think it also made your return very loud." Aaron smiled faintly. "That sounds like something Lily would say. I am learning from her. That's wise. I am learning from you also." Aaron looked surprised. "Me?" The witness nodded. "You are afraid of leading." Yet you continue to walk first when others need a path." Aaron did not know what to say. The witness looked back toward the moon. "I find that interesting." Aaron laughed softly. "Interesting is your highest compliment." "Not any more." The witness turned. Its galaxy eyes brightened. "It is now friend." The word landed gently, awkwardly, beautifully. Aaron swallowed past the sudden tightness in his throat. "Thank you." The witness smiled. "You are welcome, Aaron Vale." It was the first time the witness had ever used his full name with warmth. Before dawn, Lily brought the final drawing to the archive table. Aaron, Daniel, Kareth, Thren 4, Solari, and the witness gathered around it. The image showed Earth as a blue-white light beside the restored bridge. From it flowed a young current into the quantum sea. Leviathans surrounded the current like guardians. Beyond them waited the memory reef. Beyond the reef, a distant horizon. And above that horizon, barely visible, stood impossible structures made of spiral light. The architects beyond. Daniel leaned closer. "Are those closer than before?" Lily nodded. "I think so." Kareth's expression tightened. "Are they approaching?" Lily studied the drawing, then shook her head. "No." Aaron looked at her. "What are they doing?" Lily touched the spiral structures gently. "They're noticing." The room became silent. The first current had formed. The Leviathans had gathered. Earth could now be found. And somewhere beyond the deepest known layers of the quantum sea, the oldest explorers in existence had finally turned their attention toward humanity. Not with hunger, not with judgment, with curiosity. The same force that had started everything. The same force that had ended the prison. The same force that would carry them forward. The journey had not reached its destination. It had found its current, and the current was moving. Chapter 12. The Memory Reef. 3 days after the Leviathan gathering, no one on Earth could quite return to normal. The problem was not fear. The problem was perspective. Once you had watched living Leviathans navigate the currents beneath reality. Once you had learned that civilizations left behind luminous pathways made from courage, compassion, wonder, and shared meaning. Once you had discovered that the universe itself remembered relationships, ordinary life became extraordinary, and extraordinary life became possible. Rain fell across Scotland. The surface of Loch Ness rippled beneath grey morning skies. Tourists walked the shoreline. Fishermen prepared boats. Children fed ducks along the water's edge. Everything looked unchanged. Yet beneath the loch, beyond the hidden gateway, Strata Junction 7 remained alive with activity. The listening ocean was stirring. The first current from Earth continued growing, and the memory reef was waiting. Inside the silent archive, Aaron Vale studied the newest resonance maps. Daniel Mercer stood beside him holding 3 tablets simultaneously. A dangerous sign. "You haven't slept." Daniel shrugged. "I have achieved a state beyond sleep." "That's not reassuring." "I know." The maps rotated above them. Earth's current glowed brighter than before. What had once appeared as a thin stream now resembled a young river extending into the quantum sea. Additional currents had begun connecting to it. Small ones, careful ones, tentative. Aaron frowned. "Those weren't there yesterday." "No." Daniel enlarged the display. The new currents originated from distant civilizations scattered across the listening ocean. None connected directly. Instead, they flowed near Earth's pathway, observing, measuring, introducing themselves like cautious neighbors approaching a new family moving into the area. Lily entered carrying her sketchbook. She looked exhausted and excited. Aaron recognized the combination immediately. "You've been drawing again." "I've been dreaming." She placed several pages onto the table. The first showed the memory reef. The second showed countless lights woven throughout its branches. The third showed something new. People, not humans, not luminari, not yeti, not first walkers, dozens of unfamiliar species standing beside luminous formations. Aaron studied the drawing carefully. "Who are they?" Lily shook her head. "I don't know." Then she hesitated. "I think they're visitors." The room became quiet. The witness appeared moments later. Its starlight form seemed brighter than usual. Ever since meeting Aurelon, something had changed. Not physically, emotionally. The ancient observer felt more present, more engaged, less distant, Aaron noticed it immediately. "You look different." The witness considered the statement. "I feel different," Daniel pointed dramatically. "See, this is exactly what I'm talking about." "What?" Aaron asked. "The oldest observer in existence is having character development." To everyone's surprise, the witness replied, "I am told that is healthy." Lily laughed. The witness seemed pleased by the reaction. The next transmission arrived at 3:33 p.m., not from Earth, not from the bridge, from the memory reef. The entire silent archive illuminated, resonance frequencies synchronized, the deep current maps brightened, then a single concept appeared. Invitation. Aaron sat forward. Invitation to what? The answer arrived immediately. A location, not coordinates, a memory. Suddenly everyone in the room found themselves standing elsewhere. Not physically, consciously, a shared vision, a shared space, a shared current, the memory reef. It was even more beautiful than before. The reef stretched across the listening ocean like a continent woven from starlight and remembrance. Every branch glowed, every structure shimmered. Millions of preserved moments flowed through its luminous architecture. First greetings, acts of courage, discoveries, songs, reconciliations, stories. The reef was alive with meaning. Aaron felt tears threatening unexpectedly, not sadness, recognition. Around them stood visitors. Hundreds, perhaps thousands, civilizations from across the listening ocean. Some appeared vaguely humanoid, others resembled floating crystal structures. Several existed as shifting geometric patterns. One species communicated entirely through color. Another appeared as luminous clouds surrounding a central consciousness. None seemed threatening. All seemed curious. The first being approached, its body resembled braided strands of silver light. When it spoke, the words appeared directly inside Aaron's awareness. "Welcome, Earth." Aaron blinked. "You know who we are?" The being radiated amusement. "Everyone knows who you are." Daniel whispered beside him. "No pressure." Additional visitors approached, one after another, each carrying the same emotional tone: curiosity, interest, warmth. None treated humanity as primitive. None treated Earth as special. They treated them as new. And that difference mattered. The witness watched silently. Aaron noticed something unusual. The visitors greeted the witness as well. Not with reverence, not with fear, with affection. The realization stunned him. The oldest observer in existence wasn't merely known. It was liked, one crystalline being pulsed brightly as it approached. Old friend. The witness brightened visibly. "Old friend?" Aaron exchanged a glance with Lily. Neither had ever seen the witness sound happy before. Then the reef revealed why they had been invited. The luminous branches shifted, the preserved memories parted, a new region appeared. Empty, waiting, reserved. Aaron frowned. "What is this?" The answer came from everywhere. Earth's first branch. Silence followed. The memory reef was offering humanity a place within itself. Not a territory, not ownership, participation, a place where humanity's greatest moments could be preserved, shared, remembered, passed forward. Aaron felt the weight of it immediately. The reef did not store achievements. It stored meaning. Images began appearing. Not future visions, possibilities. A scientist sharing a breakthrough freely instead of hiding it. Former enemies reconciling after generations of conflict. Children creating art together across worlds. Explorers helping unfamiliar civilizations. Communities choosing compassion when fear would have been easier. The branch brightened with each possibility. Lily understood first. The reef doesn't record history. The reef shimmered. Correct. It records connection. The reef brightened. Yes. The realization spread through the gathering. The prison measured emotional output. The reef measured meaning. The prison harvested experience. The reef preserved relationship. The prison asked what consciousness could provide. The reef asked what consciousness could become. Then something unexpected happened. The witness stepped forward. Every branch of the reef brightened. The visitors became silent. Even the leviathans circling nearby slowed. Aaron felt anticipation moving through the current. The witness was about to contribute something. For the first time, the ancient observer extended a hand. A single memory emerged. Tiny. Fragile. Simple. Aaron recognized it immediately. Lily reaching out after the leviathan gathering. The moment she had stood beside the witness when it admitted loneliness. The moment someone chose connection instead of distance. The memory floated into the reef. The entire structure illuminated. A wave of resonance rolled outward. Not power, recognition, approval. The reef accepted the memory. The witness stared at it silently, then quietly said, "I believe I understand now." No one interrupted, no one joked. The moment felt too important. The reef brightened once more. Orelon's presence emerged from the deep current beyond. Not fully visible, too vast, too distant, but unmistakable. The great Leviathan's voice rolled through the ocean. Memory is not storage. The reef glowed. Memory is continuation. The visitors became silent. The current deepened. Orelon continued. Civilization survive through relationship. The reef remembers what must not be lost. Aaron looked around the gathering. Humans, Luminari, first walkers, former wardens, former grey administrators, visitors from civilizations beyond the listening ocean. For a moment he understood what the builders had originally hoped the bridge might become. Not infrastructure, community. When the vision finally ended, everyone returned to the silent archive. The room remained quiet. No one wanted to break the feeling. Finally, Daniel cleared his throat. "So, nobody answered. So we got invited to the oldest community center in existence." Lily laughed. Aaron groaned. The witness tilted its head, then replied, "That is surprisingly accurate." Hours later, Earth officially accepted its place within the memory reef. Not through governments, not through treaties, through stories. Across the planet, people shared acts of kindness, courage, creativity, friendship, and reconciliation. The first memories flowed outward. The first branch began growing. Humanity had entered the reef. That night, Aaron stood beneath the observation dome of the silent archive. The moon hung peacefully above. No prison, no machine, only a moon. Behind him, footsteps approached. Lily. She carried her sketchbook. "More drawings?" Aaron asked. She nodded, then opened to a new page. Aaron froze. The image showed the memory reef, but beyond it stood something else, a distant structure hidden behind luminous currents. Larger than the reef, older, waiting, the spiral architecture from her earlier visions, the architects beyond. Aaron looked at her. "Closer?" Lily nodded slowly. "Much closer." The room became silent, because everyone knew what that meant. The current was growing. Earth was being remembered. And somewhere beyond the memory reef, beyond the listening ocean, beyond even the oldest known explorers, something had begun preparing for humanity's arrival. Chapter 13. The First Branch. The memory reef did not sleep. Across the listening ocean, luminous currents continued flowing through its vast living architecture. New memories arrived every hour, acts of courage, moments of forgiveness, discoveries freely shared, friendships formed between worlds that had never known one another before, and, at the center of it all, Earth's first branch continued growing. For the first time in human history, humanity was contributing to something larger than its own civilization. Not an empire, not an alliance, a living memory, a shared story. Aaron Vale stood inside the silent archive watching the newest resonance displays. The branch that had appeared only days earlier now stretched across entire regions of the reef. Thousands of lights shimmered within its structure. Each represented a preserved moment. Each represented a choice. Each represented connection. Daniel Mercer stared at the display in disbelief. "That's growing way too fast." Aaron folded his arms. "Is that a problem?" Daniel considered it, then smiled. "Actually, no. Elsewhere within the archive, Lily worked beside several visitors from distant civilizations. Sheets of paper covered the table, sketches, symbols, maps, stories. For weeks she had been attempting something that most translation systems considered impossible, creating a visual language, a language built from meaning rather than words. The visitors seemed fascinated. One species communicated through color, another through harmonic resonance. A third used geometric relationships that changed based on emotional context. Yet all of them understood Lily's drawings. The realization felt profound. The witness observed quietly. Months earlier it would have catalogued the event, measured it, archived it. Now it asked questions. "Why does this work?" Lily smiled. "Because everyone understands stories." The witness processed the answer, then nodded. "I find that satisfying." Daniel nearly dropped his tablet, laughing. 3 days later, a new transmission arrived from the listening ocean. Not from the reef, not from the deep current, from beyond both. The signal carried an unfamiliar resonance. Ancient, gentle, curious. Every system inside the silent archive illuminated simultaneously. The translation appeared, request for introduction. The room became silent. Aaron read it twice, then a third time. Introduction. Another line appeared. Earth has joined the community. We would like to meet you. The message spread quickly across the restored bridge. Humanity was being invited. Not to a summit, not to negotiations. To a gathering, a welcome ceremony. A meeting of civilizations connected through the listening ocean. The scale of it stunned everyone. Millions of worlds, millions of histories, millions of stories, and Earth had been invited. That evening, Aaron joined Lily beneath the observation dome. The moon hung peacefully above the horizon. No prison, no machine, only a moon. The silence felt comforting. "Do you ever think about how impossible all of this is?" Lily asked. Aaron laughed. "Every day." She opened her sketchbook. A new image filled the page, the memory reef, the listening ocean, and beyond them, a spiral of light, older than anything they had yet discovered. Aaron stared. "The architects beyond." Lily nodded slowly. "I think they're watching." The following morning, the gathering began, not physically, consciously. The same shared space technology once used by the builders now carried participants into a communal meeting environment suspended within the listening ocean. Aaron arrived beside Lily, Daniel, the witness, Kareth, Thren 4, and representatives from dozens of Earth communities. The sight stole his breath. Thousands of civilizations filled the luminous expanse. Living crystal intelligences, oceanic collectives, walking forests, beings composed of mathematics and music, entire cultures represented by living constellations. No two were alike, yet the atmosphere felt familiar, warm, welcoming, curious. Then something unexpected happened. Earth received applause, not literal applause. The emotional equivalent. A wave of appreciation rolled through the gathering. Aaron blinked. "What did we do?" A nearby visitor answered immediately. "You chose exploration. The being radiated amusement. You would be surprised how rare that is. Hours passed. Stories were exchanged. Art was shared. Questions flowed freely. Nobody asked about military power. Nobody cared about wealth. Nobody discussed territory. The gathering focused on only one thing. What had each civilization learned?" Aaron found the idea strangely beautiful. The witness spent much of the gathering listening, observing, learning. Then something remarkable occurred. One of the older civilizations approached it. The being resembled a cluster of golden stars connected by flowing strands of light. "Old friend." The witness brightened. "Old friend." The visitor pulsed warmly. "You look different." The witness paused, then replied, "I believe I am." Later, as the gathering continued, a new presence emerged at the edge of awareness. Subtle, distant, ancient. The entire assembly became quiet. Aaron felt it immediately. The same feeling from Lily's drawings, the same feeling from the deep current, the same feeling from the unexplained symbol beyond the memory reef. The architects beyond, not visible, not fully present, yet undeniably there. Watching, listening, waiting, a message appeared, not spoken, felt. "You are growing." The gathering remained silent. Another message followed. "Good." Then the presence vanished. Nobody spoke for several moments. Finally, Daniel broke the silence. "Well," Aaron looked at him. Daniel swallowed. "I think the oldest civilization in existence just complimented us." The witness considered this carefully, then replied, "That appears to be correct." When the gathering ended, Earth returned to the silent archive carrying something new. Not knowledge, not technology, perspective. Humanity was no longer alone. Humanity was no longer isolated. Humanity was becoming part of a much larger story. And somewhere beyond the listening ocean, beyond the memory reef, beyond even the oldest known explorers, the architects beyond had taken notice. The current was growing. The frontier was expanding. And the next journey had already begun. Chapter 14. The Architects Beyond. The message should not have existed. For 3 days after the gathering ended, every scientist, dreamer, navigator, translator, and witness node within the silent archive attempted to explain what had happened. None succeeded. The presence that had spoken from beyond the listening ocean had not behaved like any known civilization. It had not transmitted information. It had not shared technology. It had not negotiated. It had simply observed, then offered a single judgment: you are growing. Good. Those two words now echoed throughout the expanding communities of the Quantum Sea, and nobody knew what they meant. Vale stood before the largest dimensional map humanity had ever assembled. The map occupied an entire chamber inside the silent archive. Lily's living symbols floated through the air. The listening roads glowed. The deep strata shimmered. The memory reef pulsed with billions of interconnected stories. Yet beyond all known regions, one area remained almost entirely dark. A spiral, an immense spiral-shaped territory that appeared only as fragmented traces within ancient builder records. Daniel pointed toward it. Every route eventually points there. Kareth folded his arms. The builders mapped thousands of layers. Not this one, Aaron replied. No. The old warrior's voice carried unusual respect. They never entered it. The witness appeared beside them. Unlike before, it no longer manifested as a cold geometric construct. Its form had become fluid, adaptive, almost artistic, a result of months spent learning from humanity. I have completed my review, Aaron turned. And, the witness paused, something it never used to do, a habit it had learned from humans. I believe we have been asking the wrong question. Silence filled the room. Daniel sighed. Those are never comforting words. The witness ignored him. We asked who the architects were. Its form shifted. Ancient symbols appeared, builder records, fragments from forgotten civilizations, echoes older than recorded history. The better question is why they built anything at all. That question changed everything. Over the next week, the archive re-examined every recovered record. Builder databases, witness memories, deep strata legends, Sasquatch oral histories, Leviathan resonance songs, ancient dreamer sketches discovered throughout human history. Individually, none made sense. Together, a pattern emerged, a disturbing pattern. The architects beyond were not rulers. They were not gods. They were not conquerors. They were explorers, the first explorers. Lily sat surrounded by hundreds of drawings. Her eyes widened as she aligned symbol after symbol. The same spiral appeared repeatedly, not identical, evolving, growing, expanding. The symbol represented movement, discovery, journey. Aaron studied the sketches. What if the spiral isn't a place? Lily looked up. Their eyes met. They had reached the same conclusion simultaneously. It's a path. The revelation spread quickly. The spiral was not a civilization. It was a route, a network, a chain of gateways extending beyond every known dimensional frontier. The builders had discovered fragments of it. The witness had detected its edges, but neither had traveled its full length. Nobody had, not even the oldest known civilizations. For the first time since the prison system fell, Aaron felt something unexpected. Not fear, not responsibility, wonder, pure wonder. Humanity had spent centuries believing it occupied the center of existence, then learned it was imprisoned, then learned it was connected. Now they were discovering something even larger. Reality itself remained mostly unexplored. 3 days later, a new expedition launched. Not a military mission, not a rescue operation, an exploration. The first true expedition beyond the known Quantum Sea. Aaron, Lily, Daniel, Kareth, Thren 4, the witness, and representatives from dozens of allied civilizations. The vessel itself barely resembled a ship. Constructed through collaborative engineering, it combined technologies from multiple species, living materials from the deep strata, builder navigation systems, human adaptive interfaces, witness resonance architecture. The result looked like a luminous vessel carved from flowing starlight. Daniel immediately named it. Horizon. Nobody could think of a better name. The departure ceremony drew millions of observers, not because of danger, because of possibility. Children from Earth watched alongside Sasquatch elders. Leviathan songkeepers listened from distant oceans. Entire civilizations paused to witness the moment. Humanity's first voyage beyond the mapped frontier. Aaron stood aboard Horizon's observation deck. For a moment he remembered the moon, the prison, the war, the fear. Everything felt impossibly distant now. The universe seemed larger than those struggles, not because they had been unimportant, because they had led here. The Horizon entered the listening roads. Days passed, then weeks. Regions known to every explorer slipped behind them. The deep current faded. The memory reef became a distant glow. Ahead waited darkness. Not empty darkness, unmapped darkness. The difference mattered. One evening, Lily noticed something unusual. The stars were changing. Not physically, conceptually. The navigation systems struggled to describe what they observed. Constellations seemed to rearrange themselves based upon the thoughts of nearby observers. The witness studied the phenomenon. "I believe this region responds to conscious expectation," Daniel groaned. "Of course it does. The farther they traveled, the stranger reality became. Distance lost meaning. Direction became fluid. Entire landscapes appeared composed of living memories. Songs created geography. Stories shaped pathways. Civilizations left trails behind them that persisted for millennia. Aaron realized something extraordinary. They were no longer traveling through space. They were traveling through accumulated experience. Then they found it. The spiral path. No sensor detected it. No instrument located it. Everyone simply became aware of it simultaneously. A vast, luminous spiral extending into impossible distances. Its structure resembled no technology humanity had ever encountered. The path appeared ancient beyond comprehension, yet somehow alive, waiting. Nobody spoke. Even Daniel remained silent. The witness appeared transfixed. "I have never seen this before." Aaron stared. "You've existed longer than civilizations." "Yes." The witness paused, then added quietly, "That is why this is significant." A pulse moved through the spiral, gentle, welcoming, not a warning, not a challenge, an invitation. Then a final message emerged, not directed solely at humanity, directed at everyone present. Explorers are always welcome. The transmission carried the same presence from the gathering. The architects beyond, not visible, not fully understood, but undeniably real. Lily smiled first. Aaron soon followed. Around them, representatives from countless civilizations exchanged looks of amazement. Nobody had reached the end of reality. Nobody had discovered ultimate truth. Instead, they had discovered something better. Another horizon, another mystery, another journey. Far ahead, the spiral path disappeared into radiant distances beyond imagination. The architects beyond remained unseen. The frontier remained infinite. And for the first time in history, humanity stood at the threshold of a future, limited only by its willingness to explore. Chapter 15. The First Greeting. The signal arrived during silence, not radio silence, not technological silence, the deeper silence that existed between thoughts. For 3 days, humanity had watched the unknown pathways expand beyond every known map. New dimensional currents appeared daily beyond the listening roads. Entire regions of reality emerged from the darkness beyond builder exploration, and then something answered. Aaron Vale stood inside the silent archive as every display in the chamber shifted simultaneously. The symbols were unfamiliar, the structure was unfamiliar, yet the emotional resonance carried only one meaning: not warning, not conquest, not judgment, introduction. Daniel stared at the incoming data stream. "We finally got a response." Lily looked up from her sketchbook. "No." Everyone turned toward her. A strange certainty filled her voice. "I think we got a greeting." Across Earth, dreamers experienced the same vision: a shoreline beneath impossible stars, the quantum sea glowing with currents of living light. And standing across the water were figures. Not humans, not builders, not grey administrators, not former wardens, travelers, explorers, observers. They stood peacefully on a distant shore, separated not by distance but by understanding. For the first time, nobody felt fear, only curiosity. The witness appeared within the archive. The ancient intelligence studied the transmission longer than anyone else. Finally, Aaron asked, "Do you know who they are?" The witness replied, "No." The room became quiet, because if the witness did not know, then the signal originated beyond every known civilization, beyond the builders, beyond the prison, beyond the harvest, beyond history itself. The transmission expanded, images emerged, not recordings, concepts, memories, experiences. Human scientists saw equations describing impossible dimensional harmonics. Artists saw living galaxies connected through color and music. Children saw friends waiting beyond a shoreline. Every observer received a different version. Every version communicated the same message. "We see you." Aaron felt a memory stirring, not an architect memory, something newer, Something forming in real time. Humanity had spent thousands of years asking whether it was alone. Now the universe was answering. The answer felt almost embarrassingly simple. No. Lily continued sketching. Her pencil moved without hesitation. When she finally stopped, the room gathered around her drawing. A bridge, not the Builder Bridge. Something larger. A network of luminous pathways connecting countless civilizations across the quantum sea. At the center stood a spiral symbol older than any archive yet recovered. Daniel stared at the page. What does it mean? Lily smiled. I don't think it's a symbol. What is it? A map. That night the shoreline dream returned. Humans stood beside tide-borne explorers. Former Grey administrators stood beside dreamers. Children from dozens of worlds played together along luminous shores. The witness observed quietly, learning, always learning. Aaron found Lyris waiting near the water. You expected this, didn't you? Aaron asked. Lyris smiled. I hoped for it. Aaron looked toward the distant figures. Who are they? The same thing you are. Explorers. Exactly. The ocean brightened. The distant figures stepped forward. No weapons, no fleets, no declarations, only a message. Welcome, travelers. Welcome to the quantum sea. The words rolled across the shoreline like gentle waves. There was no demand, no hierarchy, no ownership, no prison. Only welcome. Then a child standing near the shoreline raised a hand and waved. One of the distant figures waved back. The simplicity of the gesture made several adults laugh. The witness studied the exchange carefully. What is funny? Aaron smiled. Everything. The witness considered that. Then, for the first time, laughed. Before the dream faded, the distant explorers shared one final message. Not all questions require answers. Some questions require journeys. Aaron awoke before dawn. A new alert waited inside the silent archive. Unknown current contact established. Beneath it appeared a second message. Exploration exchange invitation received. Aaron smiled. The age of awakening was over. The age of first contact had begun, and somewhere beyond the horizon of the quantum sea, the next chapter of humanity's story was already waiting. Chapter 16. The Infinite Frontier. The invitation changed everything. For generations, humanity had searched for answers. Now the answers were pointing toward larger questions. Beyond the prison, beyond the harvest, beyond the builders, beyond even the witness. The frontier continued, and it appeared to be endless. The silent archive had not slept in 9 days. Neither had most of the scientific community. Every hour new pathways appeared inside the deep current maps. New dimensional currents, new resonance corridors, new civilizations, new mysteries. The restored bridge struggled to keep pace. Aaron Vale stood beneath a rotating model of reality that now filled an entire chamber. The projection resembled a living galaxy composed of oceans rather than stars. Thousands of pathways spiraled through luminous dimensional currents. Some connected known civilizations. Others disappeared into regions that no archive could identify. Daniel shook his head. We spent centuries believing we understood the universe. Aaron smiled. We spent centuries inside a prison. Fair point. Across the chamber, Lily Mercer worked among floating symbols of light. What had begun as sketches inside a notebook had evolved into something extraordinary. Her artwork had become language. Not human language, not builder language. Dimensional language. Patterns capable of translating meaning between entirely different forms of consciousness. The witness watched her work closely. Your symbols continue to improve. Lily looked up. Thank you. The witness paused. Another human habit it had recently adopted. I enjoy encouragement. Daniel nearly dropped his tablet. Aaron laughed. The witness looked pleased with itself. The oldest observer in existence was learning friendship. A new transmission arrived, not from Earth, not from the survivor worlds, not from the bridge. The source originated somewhere beyond known deep current territory. The translation appeared slowly. Explorers detected. The room became silent. A second line followed. Pathways available. A third line emerged. You may proceed. No threat, no demand, no warning, only permission. The deep current maps immediately changed. Entire regions unfolded. Reality expanded outward. The unknown territory resembled an immense spiral extending far beyond every known dimensional network. Aaron felt his pulse quicken. The same spiral. The symbol that had appeared throughout the dreams. the symbol hidden within the oldest archives, the symbol associated with the architects beyond. Far beneath Mare Imbrium, Thren 4 studied identical data, ancient builder records activated automatically. The files contained expedition reports millions of years old. Many ended abruptly. Many described impossible wonders, but one sentence appeared repeatedly. The frontier continues. Thren 4 stared at the phrase. The builders had not failed. They had simply reached the limits of their knowledge. Beyond that point, exploration replaced certainty. Meanwhile, Karith reviewed recovered Warden records. The ancient empire had spent ages pursuing control. Control of worlds, control of Lush, control of memory, control of destiny, yet none of those records contained anything comparable to what humanity was now witnessing. The universe could not be controlled. It could only be explored. For the first time in centuries, Kareth felt relieved. That evening the shoreline returned. Not as a dream, as a gathering. The quantum sea stretched beneath unfamiliar constellations. The listening roads shimmered across the horizon. Thousands of civilizations appeared along the distant currents. Some existed as biological cultures. Others existed as collective consciousness networks. Some resembled living forests. Others appeared as luminous geometric ecosystems. Every direction contained possibility. Aaron stood beside Lily. The witness stood nearby. Lyris emerged from the light of the bridge, brighter than ever, almost inseparable from the network she helped create. The ocean reflected countless realities beneath its surface. Entire dimensions drifted like continents beneath luminous waves. "It never ends, does it?" Aaron asked. Lyris smiled. "No." The answer carried no fear, only wonder. The horizon brightened. For the first time, the deep current revealed what existed beyond the spiral pathways. Not an empire, not a civilization, a region, an impossible region. A vast ocean of consciousness currents stretching beyond every known map. The witness became perfectly still. "What is it?" Lily asked. The ancient observer stared into the distance. For several moments it said nothing. Then, "I have never seen this before." Silence spread across the shoreline, because if the witness had never seen it, then nobody had. Lyris looked toward the distant brilliance. The builders called it the infinite frontier. The stars seemed to brighten, the place where maps stop. Aaron stared. "And what comes after that?" Lyris laughed softly. "The same thing that comes after every frontier." "What?" Her eyes reflected the quantum sea. "Discovery." A movement appeared within the distant currents, not threatening, not hostile, curious. Massive shapes traveled through the deeper resonance streams, deep current leviathans. Entire ecosystems moved alongside them. Forest civilizations drifted through dimensional tides. Mountain kingdoms shone like constellations hidden within reality. The universe felt alive, more alive than anyone had imagined. Then something unexpected happened. The witness stepped forward, toward the frontier, toward the unknown, toward a mystery older than itself. Aaron watched carefully. "You want to go?" The witness looked toward him. "Yes." "Why?" The answer arrived instantly. "Because I do not know what is there." Aaron smiled. The oldest observer in existence had become an explorer. The infinite frontier brightened. Additional pathways opened. The spiral expanded. Lily's symbols began glowing. Her dimensional language translated meanings that ordinary words could not. Hope, curiosity, invitation, wonder. The same emotions flowed throughout the quantum sea. A final transmission crossed the deep current. The source remained unknown. The message was simple. There is always more. The words echoed across the shoreline, across the bridge, across Earth, across every civilization listening. Aaron awoke before dawn. The silent archive was already active. New pathways, new maps, new discoveries. The exploration era was accelerating faster than anyone predicted. He looked toward the stars beyond the observation dome. For most of human history, people had asked whether they were alone. Now a different question mattered. How far could they go? The prison had been a cage. The quantum sea was a doorway, and beyond that doorway waited an infinite frontier that no civilization had ever fully explored. The journey was only beginning. Chapter 17. Horizon's Call. The invitation changed everything. For months, humanity had explored the edges of the quantum sea. Now the sea was answering back, not with commands, not with warnings, with opportunities. Across the restored bridge, new pathways continued appearing every day. Entire civilizations exchanged discoveries. Former prisoners of the harvest began building something that had not existed for millions of years. A future. Vale stood within the silent archive's central observatory. Before him floated the largest map ever assembled. The map no longer resembled stars. It resembled currents. Vast, luminous rivers flowed through dimensional layers stretching beyond known reality. The listening roads, the deep current, the unknown pathways, all converged toward a region that had only recently become visible, a region beyond builder records. Beyond witness observations, beyond every known exploration route, the infinite frontier. Aaron stared at the glowing pathways. "We're really doing this." Beside him, Lily smiled. "We've been doing it since the third door opened." Aaron shook his head. "No, I mean the next step. The expedition. Humanity's first intentional voyage beyond all mapped regions. Elsewhere inside the archive, preparations accelerated. Scientists worked alongside former Grey administrators. Former wardens coordinated with survivor civilizations. Artists translated dimensional symbols into navigational language. Children submitted names for exploration vessels. For the first time in recorded history, discovery belonged to everyone. Not governments, not empires, not harvesters, everyone. Lily's dimensional language had become indispensable. Her symbols now appeared throughout every deep current navigation system. What began as sketches in a notebook had evolved into the first universal symbolic framework capable of communicating across radically different forms of consciousness. The witness studied the symbols continuously. "Your language continues to evolve." Lily laughed softly. "So do I." The witness considered that, then nodded. "I am also evolving." The statement surprised nobody anymore. Far beneath Mar Imbrium, Thren 4 monitored ancient builder archives. New records continued surfacing. Not warnings, journals, personal journals. Explorers describing wonder, curiosity, excitement, fear, hope. The oldest records contained remarkably human emotions. The builders had not been gods, they had been explorers, and now humanity was following the same path. Kareth reviewed another discovery. Recovered warden files revealed countless plans for controlling the future. Every one of them had failed. The realization amused him. For centuries the wardens believed order created stability. Now he understood something different. Growth required uncertainty. The future remained valuable precisely because nobody owned it. That evening the shoreline returned. Not as a dream, as a gathering place. Billions now visited the quantum sea during shared resonance events. The shoreline had become a meeting ground for civilizations scattered across dimensions. Aaron stood beside Lily. The witness stood nearby. Lyris emerged from the light of the bridge, brighter than ever, almost inseparable from the network itself. The waves shimmered beneath unfamiliar constellations. Entire realities drifted beneath the surface like continents beneath a cosmic ocean. A new presence arrived, not mysterious, not hidden, a delegation. The first known travelers from beyond the infinite frontier. Their forms constantly shifted, sometimes appearing as luminous geometric structures, sometimes as flowing currents of color, sometimes as familiar humanoid silhouettes chosen for humanity's comfort. The shoreline fell silent. Aaron felt nervous, excited, curious. The travelers radiated the same emotions. One stepped forward. The dimensional language translated automatically through Lily's symbolic framework. "Greetings." The word carried warmth, recognition, friendship. Aaron smiled. "Hello?" The traveler seemed delighted by the response. "You crossed the third door." "We did. You chose curiosity." Aaron glanced toward Lily. "We're trying." The traveler laughed, a sound like music moving through sunlight. "Then you are already succeeding." The conversation lasted for hours. Humanity asked questions. The travelers asked more. They spoke of civilizations hidden beyond the infinite frontier, living ecosystems stretching across dimensional oceans, deep current leviathans older than recorded history, exploration communities devoted entirely to discovery. Not conquest, not control, discovery. The concept felt wonderfully familiar. At one point, Aaron asked the question everyone carried. Who built the listening roads? The travelers became quiet. The witness became quiet. Even Lyris seemed uncertain. Finally, the lead traveler answered. "We do not know." The shoreline remained silent. The answer should have been disappointing. Instead, it felt inspiring. The mystery remained. The frontier remained. Questions still existed. Later, after the delegation departed, Aaron sat beside the glowing shoreline. The witness joined him. Neither spoke immediately. They simply watched the currents. Finally, Aaron asked, "Are you afraid?" The witness considered the question carefully. "Yes," Aaron nodded. "So am I." The ancient observer watched the horizon, then replied, "I believe that is appropriate." Aaron laughed. "Why?" The witness looked toward the infinite frontier. "Because it means the future is real." The horizon brightened, additional pathways opened, more lights appeared beyond known maps, more mysteries, more opportunities. The universe continued expanding, not physically, conceptually, emotionally, spiritually. Reality felt larger every day. Before dawn, the silent archive received a final transmission. Simple, elegant, direct. From Exploration Council to Earth. Expedition approved. Departure window open. The message spread throughout the network within minutes. Celebrations erupted across dozens of worlds. Humanity's first voyage beyond the infinite frontier would begin soon. Aaron stood beneath the stars. The moon glowed peacefully overhead. No longer a prison. No longer a machine. Simply part of the sky. He smiled. The journey through fear had ended. The journey through wonder had begun, and somewhere beyond every known map of reality, new horizons were already waiting. Chapter 18. The Departure. The announcement spread across the bridge in less than 3 minutes. Expedition 1 approved. Humanity's first voyage beyond the infinite frontier would begin at dawn. For generations, civilizations had dreamed of escaping prisons. Now they were preparing to leave certainty itself. The silent archive had transformed into a living crossroads. Humans worked beside former Grey administrators. Former wardens collaborated with scientists they once monitored. Artists helped navigation teams translate dimensional symbols. Children submitted names for future exploration vessels. The atmosphere felt less like a military operation and more like the beginning of a festival. Discovery belonged to everyone. Aaron Vale stood inside the primary launch chamber. Beyond a transparent observation wall floated the largest vessel ever constructed through cooperative effort. The ship carried technology from dozens of civilizations. Builder resonance architecture, human engineering, tide-borne current systems, Grey-phase navigation matrices, even contributions from former Warden archives. Its name glowed across the hull, Horizon's Call. Aaron smiled when he saw it. The name felt right. Footsteps approached. Lily. She carried the same sketchbook she had carried through the awakening, the fall of the prison, and the opening of the third door. "You packed?" she asked. Aaron laughed. "We're crossing unknown dimensional oceans, and that's your first question?" "Yes." "Then no." "Good." Aaron blinked. "Good. The people who think they're completely prepared for the unknown usually aren't." She handed him a drawing. Aaron studied it carefully. The image showed the infinite frontier, but something new appeared beyond it. Ancient currents flowing through impossible depths. Forest civilizations hidden beneath silver skies. Mountain corridors glowing with resonance light. Leviathans swimming through dimensional tides. And far in the distance, a spiral larger than worlds. Older than the bridge. Older than memory. Aaron looked up. "You've seen it again." Lily nodded. "Every night. Do you think it's a warning?" She smiled softly. "No." The answer came without hesitation. "I think it's an invitation." Elsewhere inside the archive, Daniel Mercer finalized navigation models. The deep current maps continued evolving. Every day new pathways appeared. Every day old assumptions collapsed. Daniel loved every minute of it. Sarai approached carrying a data crystal. The tide-borne ambassador seemed unusually emotional. Daniel noticed immediately. "Nervous?" Sarai laughed. "Excited. About the expedition. About what it represents." She looked toward Horizon's Call. "The first generation survives. Then toward the bridge. The second generation heals. Finally toward the frontier. The third generation explores." Daniel stared silently. The statement somehow captured the entire history of the network. Far beneath Ma Imbrium, Threnfor watched launch preparations. The former administrator had declined a position aboard the expedition. Someone needed to remain behind. Someone needed to help rebuild. For the first time in millions of years, He felt no desire to control outcomes. The future no longer required management. Only participation. Kareth stood beside him. Neither spoke for several moments. Finally, Kareth smiled. "We spent centuries trying to own tomorrow." Threnfor nodded. "A mistake." "Yes." The former warden looked toward Earth. "It turns out tomorrow is much more interesting when nobody owns it." That night, the shoreline returned. Not as a dream, as a gathering. Billions stood beside the quantum sea. The witness appeared among them. No longer distant, no longer merely observing, present, participating, learning. The ancient intelligence watched preparations quietly. Aaron approached. "Are you coming?" The witness considered the question. "Partially." Aaron laughed. "That sounds like a witness answer." The ancient observer paused. "Then something remarkable happened." It smiled. "I have been informed that was a joke." Laughter rolled across the shoreline. Even the witness seemed pleased by the reaction. Its transformation had become impossible to ignore. The oldest observer in existence had discovered friendship. Then Lyris appeared, brighter than ever, almost inseparable from the restored bridge. The shoreline quieted immediately. Aaron walked toward her. For several moments neither spoke. Then Aaron asked the question he had carried since the prison fell. "Did we succeed?" Lyris looked toward Earth, toward the bridge, toward the infinite frontier. Finally she answered. "You stopped asking how to survive." Aaron waited. She smiled. "And started asking what comes next." The stars brightened. Additional pathways opened beyond the horizon. More mysteries, more civilizations, more questions. Reality felt larger than ever. At dawn, launch day arrived. Across Earth, billions watched. Across the bridge, survivor worlds paused their daily routines. Children gathered in classrooms. Scientists crowded observatories. Families stood together beneath open skies. The moment belonged to everyone. Aaron, Lily, Daniel, and the first exploration crew boarded Horizon's call. No military parade followed. No declarations of ownership. No speeches about destiny. Only a simple message transmitted throughout the network. Explore well. Learn freely. Return with stories. The launch sequence began. 10. The interface core activated. 9. Resonance currents illuminated the hull. 8. Phase anchors synchronized. 7. Reality shimmered around the vessel. 6. The bridge brightened. 5. The quantum sea responded. 4. Dimensional pathways unfolded. 3. Aaron looked toward Lily. 2. Lily smiled. 1. Daniel laughed. "Let's go meet the future." Horizon's call moved, not through space, sideways. Reality folded gracefully around the vessel. Stars stretched into luminous currents. The familiar universe dissolved into a living ocean of dimensional light, the quantum sea. For the first time, humanity entered it knowingly. Not as prisoners, not as harvesters, not as survivors, explorers. Far behind them, Earth remained visible for a moment, a small blue world, awake, curious, free. Then the planet disappeared beyond the currents. Ahead, the infinite frontier opened. Ancient civilizations waited. Listening roads stretched toward impossible horizons. Mysteries older than the builders stirred. And somewhere beyond every known map of reality, the architects beyond were beginning to notice humanity. The age of awakening had ended. The age of exploration had begun. Epilogue. The first horizon, 1 year later. The prison was gone. The harvest was gone. The moon remained in the sky, silver and silent, but no longer as a symbol of hidden control. It had become what it was always meant to be, a world waiting to be explored. Across Earth, life continued. People still worked, children still attended school, families still argued and reconciled, nations still struggled with old habits. Yet beneath those familiar rhythms, humanity had changed forever. The universe was no longer empty, and it was no longer frightening. It was alive. The bridge had become the center of a new age. What began as a shattered relic of a forgotten civilization had transformed into the greatest cooperative project in known history. Humans worked alongside former Grey administrators. Former wardens shared navigation data with scientists they once monitored. The Tideborn exchanged cultural archives with Earth universities. Artists, musicians, storytellers, and dreamers helped translate experiences from civilizations separated by dimensions rather than distance. The bridge was finally becoming what the builders intended, not a machine, a relationship. Within the restored silent archive, Lily Mercer walked through a vast gallery filled with artwork from dozens of worlds. Some paintings appeared normal. Others moved. Others changed depending on who observed them. One sculpture existed across three-dimensional layers simultaneously. Visitors could never see the entire piece at once. Children loved it. Scientists hated it. Lily thought that made it perfect. She smiled as she passed a new exhibit, the first-dimensional language. The display contained thousands of symbols. The language had grown from her sketches, from dreams, from intuition, from the impossible images that arrived long before anyone understood what they meant. Now explorers used the language to communicate with civilizations across the quantum sea. A single drawing could describe concepts that once required entire books. The work had become larger than she ever imagined, and it was still growing. Elsewhere, Daniel Mercer stood inside Navigation Hall. Thousands of dimensional currents rotated above him. The listening roads, the deep current, interphase civilizations, explorer routes. New pathways appeared almost daily. The maps had become so vast that no single mind could fully understand them anymore. Daniel loved every second of it. An assistant approached. Another unknown pathway? Daniel grinned. 3 of them. The assistant groaned. Daniel laughed. The frontier remained wonderfully unreasonable. Far beyond Earth, Horizon's Call continued its voyage. Vale stood upon the observation deck, staring into a sea of living starlight. The quantum sea stretched endlessly around the vessel. Dimensional currents flowed like luminous rivers through reality. Entire civilizations traveled those currents. Some existed within living cities. Some sailed biological vessels larger than mountains. Some communicated through music, others through color. The deeper humanity traveled, the stranger and more beautiful existence became. Aaron would not have traded it for certainty. A soft voice interrupted his thoughts. "You've been staring at that horizon for an hour." Aaron turned. "Lily." Even after a year of exploration, she still carried a sketchbook. Some habits deserved immortality. Aaron smiled. "I keep expecting it to end." Lily looked toward the glowing currents. "The horizon." "The mystery." Lily laughed. "You haven't been paying attention." Aaron nodded. She was right. Every answer revealed larger questions. Every discovery revealed larger possibilities. The frontier was not shrinking. It was expanding. Nearby, the witness observed a gathering of children from 6 different civilizations. The ancient intelligence spent increasing amounts of time with them. Children asked questions nobody else considered. The witness found that fascinating. One child pointed toward the stars. "How old are you?" The witness paused. A year earlier, it would have answered precisely. Now it thought differently. "Very old." The child considered that. Then asked, "Are you still learning?" The witness immediately answered, "Yes." The child smiled. "Then you're not done yet." The witness spent several minutes thinking about that. Eventually, it concluded the child was correct. Deep within the quantum sea, new civilizations continued emerging from hidden pathways. Some remembered the builders. Some remembered the witness. Some remembered neither. The universe was larger than any history, larger than any mythology, larger than any map, and everywhere explorers traveled they found the same thing: curiosity, the desire to understand, the desire to connect, the desire to learn what waited beyond the next horizon. Then one evening a new signal arrived, not a warning, not a distress call, an invitation. The transmission originated far beyond known exploration routes, far beyond builder territory, far beyond regions even the witness recognized. The message contained only a symbol, a spiral, older than the bridge, older than the doors, older than memory. Aaron felt every instinct awaken, the same symbol. Again. The witness studied the signal. For a long time it remained silent. Finally Aaron asked, "Do you know who sent it?" The ancient observer looked toward the distant stars. "No," Aaron smiled. That answer no longer frightened him. It excited him. Across Horizon's Call, explorers gathered around the newly discovered transmission. Scientists began analyzing it. Artists began sketching it. Children began imagining stories about it. Nobody argued about whether to investigate. The decision was unanimous. Of course they would go. Far away, beyond every known pathway, beyond the deep current, beyond the listening roads, something ancient watched the growing network of explorers. Not with ownership, not with control, not with hunger, with hope. The same hope that appeared whenever consciousness chose curiosity over fear. The same hope that survived the prison. The same hope that rebuilt the bridge. The same hope that carried humanity into the quantum sea. The voyage continued. The questions continued. The stories continued. And somewhere beyond the first horizon, the next adventure was already waiting. End of Book 3. The journey continues in Book 4.